Maya Reeves had perfected the art of being invisible. At 28 years old, she had become a master of the unremarkable, a woman who existed in the background of Forward Operating Base Sentinel like a piece of furniture nobody bothered to notice anymore. She wore oversized hoodies 3 sizes too large, let her dark hair hang in deliberately messy tangles around her face, and kept thick rimmed glasses perched on her nose, even though her vision was perfect. The transformation had taken practice. 4 years of practice, to be exact. 4 years of teaching herself how to disappear into the static of everyday military life, to become the forgettable IT contractor who fixed broken networks and never said more than 3 words to anyone. The other contractors at FOB Sentinel treated her like wallpaper. The soldiers barely registered her existence. That was exactly how she wanted it. What none of them knew, what none of them could ever know, was that Maya Reeves carried a past so classified that even thinking about it sometimes made her hands shake. 4 years ago, she had been someone else entirely. 4 years ago, she had been Corporal Maya Reeves, United States Marine Corps, Force Reconnaissance Specialist with 2 combat deployments under her belt, and a Navy Cross buried so deep in classified files that the medal might as well have never existed. She had been a hunter, a predator, one of the elite few selected for missions that officially never happened in places that were never supposed to be touched. And then Ramadi happened, the mission that turned her from a warrior into a ghost. Maya sat alone in the server room at 0200 hours, the blue glow of computer monitors painting her face in harsh angular light. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with mechanical precision, running diagnostics on network security protocols that didn't actually need diagnosing. The work was busy work, filler to justify her contractor salary, but it kept her hands occupied and her mind from wandering too far into the shadows where the memories lived. Outside the reinforced door, FOB Sentinel hummed with the muted sounds of a military installation at rest. 250 souls tucked into concrete bunkers and temporary housing, trying to sleep in a country that never truly slept, surrounded by mountains that hid threats in every ridge and valley. Afghanistan's Al-Riyan province was not a place where safety lasted long. Everyone stationed at Sentinel understood this fundamental truth, even if they pretended otherwise during daylight hours. The base served dual purposes as both a logistics hub and an intelligence collection node, positioned at the intersection of 3 insurgent faction territories like a chess piece waiting to be taken. Concrete barriers 12 feet high ringed the perimeter. Guard towers stood at each corner, manned by soldiers whose night vision equipment turned the darkness into a grainy green dreamscape. Razor wire coiled along every surface that could be climbed. Motion sensors, cameras, and electronic surveillance systems created layers of supposed protection. Maya had learned long ago that all defenses were illusions. Every fortress could be breached. Every system could be compromised. It was only a question of when and how. She rubbed her eyes beneath the unnecessary glasses, felt the exhaustion pulling at her bones. Sleep had become a dangerous country she visited reluctantly. 3 hours a night, maybe 4 on good weeks. The dreams were always waiting, always the same sequence. The door exploding inward under breaching charges, the muzzle flash in darkness, the small bodies crumpling, and then the terrible silence that followed understanding. 3 children, 3 civilians, 3 mistakes that could never be unmade. The official after-action report called it acceptable collateral damage in the neutralization of a high-value target. The classified addendum that only 5 people had clearance to read told a different story. Faulty intelligence, compromised source network, wrong building, wrong targets. And Corporal Maya Reeves pulling the trigger because that was what she had been trained to do, what she had been ordered to do, what her muscle memory executed faster than conscious thought could intervene. They gave her the Navy Cross for the mission, for eliminating the actual target 3 buildings over after the mistake, for extracting her team under fire, for completing the objective despite catastrophic intelligence failure. They gave her the medal in a closed ceremony with no witnesses and told her it would never appear on any public record. Then they gave her mandatory psychological evaluation and a choice: continue operating or separate with honor. She chose separation. She chose to bury Corporal Maya Reeves and become someone forgettable. But tonight, sitting in the blue glow of the server room with her hands trembling slightly on the keyboard, Maya felt the old instincts stirring beneath the carefully constructed facade of normalcy. Something was wrong. She couldn't name it, couldn't point to specific evidence, But the sixth sense that had kept her alive through 2 deployments was screaming warnings her conscious mind couldn't interpret. She had felt this way 3 days ago when Sergeant Marcus Webb arrived at FOB Sentinel with his platoon. Marcus, the name alone sent complicated emotions cascading through her chest. They had served together in Force Recon, had been partners on missions that existed only in redacted documents, had been more than partners during the long months between deployments. He was the only person in the world who knew the real Maya Reeves, who had held her while she wept after Ramadi, who had loved the killer and the broken woman both. When Marcus walked off the transport helicopter, Maya had been standing in the motor pool doing inventory on networking equipment. Their eyes met for perhaps 2 seconds across 50 yards of tarmac. She saw a recognition flicker in his expression, saw him open his mouth as if to call out, and then she saw him make the same calculation she did. Revealing their history would raise questions. Questions would lead to scrutiny. Scrutiny would uncover classified pasts neither of them wanted exposed. So Marcus had closed his mouth and turned away, and Maya had returned to counting Ethernet cables with shaking hands. They had not spoken since, not directly, but twice she had felt his presence nearby, lingering just long enough for her to know he was watching over her from a distance, protecting her the way he always had, the way she had never deserved. A notification flashed on Maya's monitor. Automated security sweep complete. All systems nominal. She closed the window and checked the time. 02:45. 15 minutes until the next guard rotation. 15 minutes until she could reasonably justify leaving the server room and heading back to her quarters for another night of 3-hour sleep and surgical precision nightmares. The lights flickered once, twice, then stabilized. Maya's hand froze on the mouse. Every muscle in her body went rigid. In 14 months of working at FOB Sentinel, the power had never flickered. Not once. The base ran on redundant diesel generators with automatic failover systems and enough fuel reserves to operate for weeks. Power fluctuations didn't happen unless something was very wrong. She was already moving toward the weapons locker in the corner before conscious thought caught up with instinct. The locker was technically assigned to security personnel who sometimes pulled shifts monitoring the servers, but Maya had installed the electronic lock herself 6 months ago. She knew the access code because she had programmed it, and she had programmed it using a sequence only she would recognize. The birthday of the first child she had killed, a pennant she carried in electronic form, a reminder that she could never truly escape. The locker opened with a soft beep. Inside rested an M4A1 carbine, standard issue, well-maintained but showing the wear patterns of regular field use. 430-round magazines sat in foam cutouts beside the weapon. Maya stared at the rifle for 3 heartbeats. Touching it meant crossing a line she had sworn never to cross again. Picking it up meant admitting that Maya Reeves, the IT contractor, was a fiction, that the warrior still lived beneath the oversized clothes and fake glasses. The explosion answered the question for her. The blast wave hit the building like the fist of an angry god, shattering windows and knocking Maya sideways into a rack of servers. Her Marine Corps training took over before the sound even registered. She hit the ground and rolled away from flying glass, covering her head, counting seconds, gauging distance and direction based on the pressure wave and acoustic signature. Close, maybe 200 meters. Southwest corner, one of the guard towers. The base alarm started shrieking, the specific tone that meant perimeter breach, not indirect fire. Someone was inside the wire. Maya's civilian life ended in that moment. The careful construction of 4 years dissolved like smoke. She moved to the weapons locker and drew the M4A1 with hands that remembered every detail of weapons handling from thousands of repetitions. Chamber check automatic, muscle memory executing the sequence. Round seated, bolt forward, safety off. Trigger finger indexed along the receiver until target acquisition. She grabbed all 4 magazines and stuffed them into the pockets of her hoodie, feeling the familiar weight settle against her body. Her maintenance radio erupted with frantic transmissions, cutting over each other in barely controlled chaos. Tower 3 is down. Repeat, Tower 3 is down. Multiple casualties. Breach at southwest perimeter. Estimate 40 to 50 hostiles inside the wire. Heavy weapons. All personnel to rally points Alpha and Bravo. This is not a drill. I say again, this is not a drill. Through the shattered window of the server room, Maya could see tracer rounds streaking through the darkness like red meteors, creating geometric patterns of death against the night sky. The distinctive sound of AK-47, fire mixed with the heavier bark of American M4s, and the brutal hammering of belt-fed machine guns. Screams carried on the cold mountain air. Explosions bloomed orange in the distance. The organized chaos of a coordinated assault executed by people who knew exactly what they were doing. Maya moved to the window and conducted a tactical assessment with the cold precision her Force Recon training had drilled into her bones. The attackers had hit Tower 3 first to eliminate Overwatch. Classic infantry doctrine. They had breached in multiple locations simultaneously, at least 3 separate entry points she could identify from muzzle flashes and movement patterns. This was not a random raid. This was a planned military operation conducted by fighters with training and discipline. Her radio crackled again, a voice she recognized cutting through the static. Sergeant Marcus Webb, her former partner, her former lover, now just another squad leader trying to keep his people alive. Rally Point Bravo taking heavy contact. We have wounded, need immediate support. Enemy force larger than estimated. They knew the layout. Repeat, enemy has detailed knowledge of base infrastructure. Maya's jaw clenched. Inside information. Someone had given the attackers intelligence. Someone had sold out Phobie Sentinel. She caught her reflection in a blank computer monitor, saw the woman staring back. Messy hair, oversized hoodie, thick glasses. The disguise suddenly looked obscene, a costume worn by a coward while better people died. Maya Reeves, the IT contractor, was a lie. A comfortable lie, a necessary lie, but still a lie. And lies had no place in combat. She reached up and removed the glasses, tossing them onto the desk where they clattered against the keyboard. Her hands pulled her hair back into a tight tactical bun, muscle memory from 1,000 pre-mission rituals. The hoodie came off in one smooth motion, revealing a plain black athletic shirt beneath that allowed full range of movement. She looked at her reflection again and saw the truth. Not a harmless contractor, not a victim waiting to be saved. A United States Marine, Force Reconnaissance qualified, with 2 combat tours and skills specifically designed for killing human beings efficiently. The woman in the reflection looked dangerous, looked ready, looked like someone who had been waiting 4 years for permission to stop pretending. Maya checked her M4A11 final time, press-checked the chamber to verify the round, did a functions check on the safety selector. Everything operated smoothly. She moved to the doorway and paused, listening to the symphony of violence playing out across FOB Sentinel. Heaviest gunfire concentrated at rally points Alpha and Bravo, where defenders were coalescing. That meant the attackers knew the defensive plan, knew where Americans would fall back to, knew how to fix them in place while maneuvering for better positions. Professional work. Someone had trained these fighters well. Maya switched her radio to the emergency frequency and keyed the mic, her voice calm and level despite the adrenaline flooding her system. Any station, this is Reeves, server room sector. What is your situation? Static hissed for 3 seconds. Then a familiar voice responded, strained with pain and stress. Sergeant Marcus Webb. Reeves, get to Rally Point Alpha. We are heavily engaged. Perimeter is compromised. Multiple sectors overrun. Get to safety now. The transmission died beneath a burst of close-range automatic weapons fire. Maya heard Marcus shouting commands in the background, heard the distinct crack of grenades detonating, heard men screaming. She stepped into the corridor. Red emergency lighting painted everything the color of arterial spray. Smoke drifted through the air, acrid and chemical. Maya moved forward toward the sound of combat, her M4A1 raised in a high-ready position, each step measured and deliberate. Every corner was a potential kill zone. Every shadow could hide an enemy. Her breathing settled into the familiar 4-count rhythm. Inhale 4 seconds, hold 2, exhale 4, hold 2. The pattern that slowed the heartbeat, steadied the hands, sharpened the focus. She reached the main junction hallway and heard voices. Not English. The dialect was familiar from her deployments. The rapid cadence of fighters coordinating movement. Maya estimated 3, maybe 4 individuals based on the acoustic signature. They were clearing rooms systematically, hunting for survivors or valuable intelligence. She positioned herself at the corner, weapon shouldered, cheek weld perfect against the stock, dominant eye aligned with the optic. Breathing slowed to almost nothing. Heart rate dropping into the zone where fine motor control peaked. Finger moving from the receiver to the trigger, taking up the slack, finding the wall before the breakpoint. Three insurgents rounded the corner in a loose tactical formation, AK-47s raised, eyes scanning forward. They were looking for uniformed soldiers behind sandbags and defensive positions. They were not looking for a single woman in a black shirt emerging from an unlit corridor. Maya squeezed the trigger with the smooth, deliberate pressure her instructors had beaten into her muscle memory through 10,000 repetitions. Double tap, center mass, first target. The M4A1 barked twice, controlled recoil, sight picture barely disturbed. The fighter crumpled. Sight transition, second target, double tap, center mass, down. Third target turning, weapon coming up, too slow. Double tap, center mass. The man folded over his rifle and hit the floor. 3.2 seconds from a first shot to last. Three men dead before their brains could process the threat. Textbook Force Recon close quarters combat. The kind of violence Maya Reeves had spent 4 years trying to forget. She didn't waste time confirming kills. Hesitation was death. She moved forward in a combat crouch, grabbed a spare magazine from one of the bodies, checked the caliber. 7.62 by 39, AK compatible. She pocketed it and kept moving. Her radio burst to life again, this time a different voice. Captain's rank based on the call sign. The base commander asserting control over chaos. All personnel, this is Sentinel Actual. Enemy strength estimated at 40 to 50 hostiles with heavy weapons and explosives. We have multiple breaches. All units consolidate at rally points Alpha and Bravo. Air support requested, but weather is degrading. Estimate 30 minutes until possible close air support. Hold positions and return fire. 30 minutes. An eternity in combat. Maya reached a blown-out window overlooking the main courtyard and conducted another tactical assessment. The picture was worse than she had estimated. Guard towers 1 and 3 completely destroyed. Tower 2 still fighting but taking sustained fire from multiple angles. The motor pool was burning, thick black smoke rising into the darkness. And in the center of the courtyard, illuminated by the flames, Maya saw something that made her blood turn to ice water. Prisoners. 6 American soldiers forced to their knees in a line, line, hands zip-tied behind their backs, insurgent fighters standing over them with rifles. An execution formation. One fighter stood apart from the others, clearly in command, speaking into a radio while gesturing at the prisoners, making a decision. Maya's grip tightened on her M4A1. She was 150 meters away. Elevated position, decent sight lines despite the smoke. She had made harder shots under worse conditions. But 6 prisoners meant at least 15 insurgents in close proximity, probably more out of visual range. A one-woman rescue attempt was tactically insane. Suicidal. Sergeant Marcus Webb was one of the prisoners. She recognized him even at this distance, even in the firelight. The way he held his shoulders, the specific angle of his jaw. 4 years apart, and she could still identify him from 100 tiny details that only intimate knowledge provided. He was third from the left in the execution line, head unbowed, staring at his captors with the defiant contempt of a Marine who refused to give them the satisfaction of seeing fear. Maya made her decision in less than a second. Tactically insane, suicidal, absolutely necessary. She moved through this building to gain better elevation, climbing stairs 2 at a time while maintaining noise discipline. The admin building offered the best vantage point. 3rd floor, west-facing windows with clear lines of sight to the courtyard. She reached the position and set up behind a desk, using it as a stable shooting platform. Her M4A1 went into the desk surface, bipod legs deployed for maximum stability. She pulled the charging handle slightly back to verify once more that a round was chambered, even though she already knew it was. Old habits, good habits, the kind that kept you alive. Through her optic, the courtyard jumped into sharp focus. She could see faces now. Count the enemy. Identify the leader. The insurgent commander was still on his radio, still gesturing, making his report, waiting for orders. The execution hadn't started yet, but it would. Maya had seen this before. The theater, the performance, the video camera being set up to record American soldiers dying on their knees for propaganda purposes. She found her breathing pause, that moment between exhale and the next inhale where the body was perfectly still. The moment when expert marksmen took their shots. Her crosshairs settled on the insurgent commander's center mass. Range 150 meters, virtually no wind, slight downward angle, Easy shot for someone with her training. Maya squeezed the trigger. The rifle kicked against her shoulder. The commander dropped like a puppet with cut strings, dead before he hit the ground. She didn't wait to see him fall. She was already transitioning to the second target. The fighter with the radio. 2 shots. Center mass. Down. Third target. The man holding the video camera. 2 shots. Down. Fourth target turning toward her muzzle flash. 2 shots. Down. The courtyard erupted into chaos. Insurgents scattered, shouting, trying to identify the shooter's position while simultaneously seeking cover. Some fired blindly at windows. Others rushed the prisoners, either to use them as shields or to execute them quickly before losing the opportunity. Maya kept shooting, smooth, methodical, each trigger pull deliberate, each shot placed with surgical precision into center mass targets. She had fired exactly 42 rounds in Force Recon qualification courses that achieved perfect scores. This was just another qualification course where the targets shot back. An insurgent reached for Sergeant Webb. Maya's crosshairs found him. 2 shots. He fell across Marcus. Another fighter raised his AK toward the prisoners. Maya shot him through the side of his skull as he turned. 3 more insurgents trying to establish a firing line. She engaged them in sequence, left to right, controlled pairs breathing between shots. Her magazine ran dry. She executed a tactical reload without conscious thought, muscle memory so deeply ingrained that her hands performed the sequence while her eyes stayed focused through the optic. Empty magazine out, fresh magazine in, bolt release, back in the fight, 3.7 seconds total. The prisoners weren't waiting for rescue anymore. With their captors dead or scattered, 3 of them rolled toward fallen weapons despite having their hands bound. They used their bodies, their teeth, anything available to get to rifles. Brutal improvised combat erupted in the courtyard, Americans fighting with the desperate ferocity of men who knew this was their only chance. Maya provided overwatch, dropping any insurgent who tried to shoot the escaping prisoners. Her M4A1 clicked empty again. Another magazine, reload, resume fire. She recognized Corporal Reed from the motor pool, a young Marine she had helped with a corrupted hard drive 2 weeks ago. He had seemed like a kid then, barely old enough to shave. Now he fought like a demon, using a dead insurgent's rifle to cover his brothers while they scattered for defensive positions. And Marcus Webb was on his feet, hands still bound, but moving with the tactical awareness of a Force Recon veteran. He was shouting commands, organizing the chaos, turning a massacre into a fighting chance. Even from 150 meters away, even through the smoke and fire, Maya could see him doing what he did best. Leading, surviving, refusing to quit. Then she heard boots behind her. Heavy, running, multiple individuals converging on her position. The insurgents had identified her location and were moving to eliminate the threat. Maya abandoned the shooting position and moved deeper into the building, transitioning from static defense to mobile warfare. She knew every hallway in the admin building from 14 months of walking these corridors as an invisible IT contractor. She knew which doors stuck, which rooms had multiple exits, which corners favored defense. Now, she weaponized that knowledge. Footsteps thundered up the stairwell behind her. Maya positioned herself at a corner, M4A1 aimed at chest height, where the first person through would present center mass. She controlled her breathing, waited. Patience was as important as marksmanship. The first insurgent appeared, AK-47 raised, moving fast but not cautious enough. Maya shot him twice. He fell backward into the second man, creating a human obstacle. She shot the second man through the gap between the first man's arm and torso. Both bodies tumbled down the stairs in a tangle of limbs and weapons. A third fighter shouted something in his native language, a warning or a curse. Maya heard boots retreating, the sound of someone deciding that climbing toward a skilled shooter in a confined space was how you died quickly. She didn't pursue. She moved up instead, heading for roof access. Higher ground meant visibility, mobility, and multiple escape routes. The roof hatch was locked with a simple mechanical deadbolt. Maya kicked it once, hard, and the old metal gave way with a shriek of stressed hinges. Cold mountain air hit her face as she emerged onto the roof. The tactical picture of Base Sentinel spread beneath her in a panorama of violence and fire. She could see the whole battle now, every sector, every position. Insurgent forces held the north and east sectors, approximately 30 fighters based on muzzle flash density. American defenders had consolidated at rally points Alpha and Bravo, maybe 60 personnel total, pinned down by superior numbers and positioning. The key threat was immediately obvious. A technical truck with a mounted Russian-made DASK heavy machine gun sat between the two rally points, pouring sustained fire that made movement between positions impossible. The gun crew was systematically hosing down any American who tried to establish fields of fire or move wounded. That single weapon was cutting the base in half, preventing the defenders from concentrating their strength. Maya checked her ammunition, 1 magazine in the rifle, 2 in her pockets. Not enough for a sustained firefight, but enough for precision work. The technical was approximately 100 meters away. Difficult shot, but far from impossible for someone who had qualified expert marksman on every range the Marine Corps operated. She found a ventilation unit that provided both cover and a stable rest for her rifle. Settled into position, controlled her breathing. The machine gunner was focused on rally point Alpha, his back partially toward her position, presenting a 3/4 profile. He was the immediate threat. Kill him first, then worry about disabling the vehicle. Maya found her breathing pause, acquired her sight picture, squeezed the trigger with the same smooth pressure she had executed 10,000 times. The machine gunner jerked once and collapsed over his weapon, dead weight falling across the gun and jamming the mechanism. The technicals crew panicked, scrambling to clear their gunner and get the weapon back in action. Maya gave them no time. She adjusted her aim to the engine block, a larger target, and fired 5 rounds in rapid succession. Smoke began pouring from under the hood. Coolant or oil, something vital bleeding out. The insurgents abandoned the vehicle, scattering for cover as their heavy support died. Her radio crackled, a new voice steady and professional despite the circumstances. Officer's command tone. Unknown friendly, this is Rally Point Alpha Actual. Your fires are dead on target. Identify yourself immediately. Maya hesitated. Speaking meant revealing herself. Revealing herself meant Captain Ethan Cole and everyone else would know that the quiet IT contractor was something else entirely. Her comfortable invisibility would evaporate. There would be questions, investigations. Her classified past would surface. But coordination would save lives, and Marines were dying while she debated self-preservation. She keyed the mic and spoke with the flat calm of someone reporting range scores. Rally Point Alpha, this is Reeves, civilian contractor, former Marine Corps Force Reconnaissance. I am mobile with M4A1, limited ammunition. Where do you need fires? Silence on the net. She could imagine their faces. The moment of cognitive dissonance as the base's invisible IT girl claimed to be a combat veteran, providing precision marksmanship from an elevated position. The mental recalculation of who Maya Reeves actually was. Captain Cole's voice came back, carefully controlled. Reeves, say again your last. You are the contractor who fixes our network systems. Affirmative. Also former Marine with 2 deployments in advanced infantry training. Currently on admin building roof with visual on most of the base. I can provide overwatch and suppressive fire. How copy? Another pause. Then Cole's voice shifted into pure tactical command, accepting the impossible because the impossible was what the situation required. Good copy, Reeves. We need to evacuate wounded from Rally Point Bravo to Alpha. Medical personnel are pinned down. Can you provide suppression on enemy positions to cover movement? Maya scanned the route between the 2 rally points, identified 2 enemy firing positions that commanded the approach. Sent it. Stand by for fires. She repositioned on the roof, establishing angles on both targets. Her radio crackled again. 3, 2, 1, execution. Go. American soldiers sprinted from Rally Point Bravo carrying stretchers with wounded. Maya immediately engaged the first enemy position with sustained fire, not aiming to kill, but to force heads down, to make the insurgents choose between returning fire and staying alive. It worked. Their shooting faltered as they ducked behind cover. She shifted to the second position, same technique, controlled bursts that made sound and fury without wasting ammunition. The stretcher teams made it to Rally Point Alpha, all wounded secured. Good shooting, Reeves. All personnel safe. Maya's rifle clicked and empty. Last magazine. She performed the reload and scanned for new threats. The tactical situation was degrading. The insurgents had identified her position now, at least 6 fighters maneuvering to flank the admin building and cut off her escape routes. They were learning, adapting, professional soldiers adjusting their tactics to account for a skilled opponent. Time to move. She surveyed potential routes and spotted the armory building 20 meters across an exposed alley, 20 meters of open ground under enemy observation, suicidal in conventional tactical doctrine. But the armory meant more ammunition, heavier weapons, possibly anti-tank rockets. The difference between being a nuisance and being a real threat to the assault. Maya did not overthink it. Overthinking was paralysis. She ran. Rounds snapped past her head, that distinctive crack of supersonic bullets splitting air molecules. She fired her M4A1 one-handed while sprinting, not aiming, just creating noise and muzzle flash to make the shooters flinch. Concrete exploded where rounds impacted. Tracer fire drew red lines through the darkness. She dove the last 3 meters and rolled as impacts chewed up the rooftop behind her. The armory roof access was locked. Maya swiped her contractor security card through the reader, a card she had programmed herself with admin-level access to every building on base. The indicator light flashed green. The hatch opened. She dropped through into a corridor she had been in 6 months ago to repair the armory's inventory management computer. The layout was burned into her memory. She moved carefully, M4A1 raised, clearing corners by muscle memory. Voices ahead. American English. She called out before someone shot her out of nerves. Friendly coming in. Contractor Reeves from roof access. Don't shoot. A soldier stepped into view, rifle up but not aimed at her. She recognized him. Specialist Jake Morrison, 25 years old, armory clerk, always nervous, always triple-checking paperwork. He stared at her with wide eyes that reflected shock and confusion in equal measure. "What the hell are you doing here, Harris?" The words came out strangled. "Long story. What is your situation?" Jake studied her differently now, seeing past the black shirt and tactical bun to the way she held her weapon. The economical movements. The controlled intensity that belonged to someone with real training. "We have 3 personnel, limited ammunition, about a dozen hostiles trying to breach from the main entrance. They want the heavy weapons." Maya nodded once. "Then we make sure they do not get them. What do you have better than an M4? Jake led her deeper into the armory, past racks of rifles and pistols to the heavy weapons vault. Inside was everything a properly equipped FOB needed. M249 squad automatic weapons, M240 machine guns, a T4 anti-tank rockets, fragmentation grenades, cases of linked ammunition. This changes everything, Maya thought. She slung an M249 across her back and grabbed as many belted rounds as she could carry without compromising mobility. "Show me your defensive positions." Jake pointed out 3 soldiers holding 3 critical choke points. Barely enough coverage. Where are they concentrating their assault? Main gate, setting up an RPG team. Maya moved to a window with clear sight lines to the entrance. She spotted the 3-man team immediately. 1 insurgent with the launcher, 2 providing security. She mounted the M249 on a table to create a stable firing platform. "When I open fire, they will identify this position and concentrate on it. Be ready to cover gaps if they try flanking maneuvers." Jake blurted out the question everyone had to be thinking. "Reeves, how do you know all this?" "You fix our computers." Maya met his eyes with the flat gaze of someone who had made peace with uncomfortable truths. "I fix computers. And before that, I did 2 combat deployments as a Marine infantry specialist. No time for extended discussion." She charged the M249, felt the bolt slam forward, and opened fire. The squad automatic weapon roared to life, pouring 5.56 rounds down range at a brutal sustained rate. The RPG team dissolved under the suppressive fire, 1 second standing in formation, the next second scattered or dead. Maya shifted her aim to catch insurgents trying to close on the armory, walking the fire across their approach route. The sustained machine gun fire from an unexpected direction shattered their momentum. Fighters who had been advancing with confidence suddenly found themselves pinned by accurate heavy weapons fire. She fired in controlled bursts, managing her ammunition, preserving barrel life, denying any organized approach to the armory. Her radio came alive. "Reeves, this is Rally Point Alpha Actual. Whatever you are doing, maintain it. Enemy assault cohesion is breaking." But from her elevated position in the armory, Maya could see what the rally points could not. Vehicle lights in the distance beyond the breached perimeter. Reinforcements staging outside the wire. The initial 40 to 50 attackers were being reinforced. This was not a raid anymore. This was an attempted occupation. She keyed her mic. Rally Point Alpha Actual, be advised. Enemy is receiving reinforcements from outside the wire. Estimate additional 20 to 30 fighters staging approximately 200 meters north of primary breach point. Copy. How can you see that far in darkness? I acquired night vision optics from the armory. They are staging near what appears to be 3 vehicles. I can interdict with anti-armor weapons if authorized. A pause on the net. Then Captain Cole's voice came back with the weight of command decision. You are authorized. Break their reinforcement. Maya shouldered an 8-4 anti-tank rocket, moved to a different window with clear sight lines to the staging area, and prepped the disposable launcher. Single shot, brutal against concentrated personnel and light vehicles. She aimed for the cluster of fighters near the trucks, exhaled slowly, and fired. The rocket streaked out with a sound like tearing canvas and detonated in the center of the insurgent formation. The explosion was white phosphorus bright, scattering bodies and wrecking at least one vehicle into burning wreckage. Maya immediately grabbed a second AT-4, aimed, fired. Another blast tore through the staging area before the survivors could reorganize. Rally Point Alpha Actual, reinforcement element disrupted. Enemy scattered. Outstanding shooting, Reeves. What else can you provide? Maya scanned the battlefield through night vision, calculating distances, fields of fire, enemy positions. She keyed the mic again. How do you feel about a counterattack? Silence. Then Captain Ethan Cole's voice came back, careful and measured. Reeves, we are barely maintaining defensive positions. Counterattack is not currently feasible given our strength and disposition. Sir, the enemy is disorganized. Their command structure is fractured. Reinforcements scattered. Heavy weapons neutralized. If we hit them now while they are disrupted, we can break this assault completely. Another long pause. Maya could imagine the captain weighing tactical doctrine against the unorthodox suggestion from a contractor who was supposed to fix computers, but was instead proposing aggressive maneuver warfare. What do you propose? Cole asked. I can provide sustained, heavy suppressive fire from the armory. That pins their main force. You push from Rally Point Alpha toward their breach point and roll up their flank. Specialist Morrison and the armory team establish a blocking position to cut off retreat. We catch them between 3 fires and destroy their cohesion. That is extremely aggressive, Reeves. If it fails, we are committed in the open with no fallback. If we stay defensive, their reinforcements will reorganize and hit us again with better preparation. We have a window. We should use it. She heard muffled conversation on the other end, probably Cole consulting with his senior non-commissioned officers. Then his voice came back firm with decision. All right, Reeves, we will execute your plan. All elements. Prepare for coordinated counterattack on my signal. Jake Morrison, who had been listening nearby, hit his transmit button. Copy. Armory team will establish blocking position. He looked at Maya with something between awe and fear. That is a bold tactical call for someone who fixes computers. I solve problems, specialist. This is just a different kind of troubleshooting. Maya arranged multiple machine guns at different windows to create overlapping fields of fire. Made it look like the armory held far more defenders than actually existed. Staged grenades for quick employment. Triple-checked ammunition supplies. This would work or it would fail spectacularly. There was no middle ground. All elements stand by. Execute on my mark in 30 seconds. She gripped the M249, settled her breathing into combat rhythm, and watched the second hand tick down. Execute, execute, execute. Maya unleashed the squad automatic weapon, sweeping the enemy line with relentless fire. Before they could react to the source, she shifted to the M240 at a second window, hammering from a different angle. To the insurgents, it sounded like a dozen machine guns from multiple positions. Far more defenders than actually existed. While the enemy focused on the armory's fury, Rally Point Alpha surged forward. 20 American soldiers advancing with disciplined fire and movement, using proper bounding overwatch, closing on the enemy's exposed flank like the professional infantry they were. The insurgents panicked, caught between the unexpected machine gun fire and the advancing assault force. Their formations dissolved. Some tried to retreat and ran directly into Specialist Morrison's blocking team. Others froze in confusion. A few fought back but without coordination or leadership. Maya hurled fragmentation grenades through shattered windows, each explosion adding to the chaos and terror. The assault that had begun with precision and confidence 90 minutes ago was crumbling into rout. Fighters broke and fled through gaps in the perimeter. Others threw down weapons and raised hands in surrender. Many did not get the chance to make that choice. Within 10 minutes of Maya giving the execute order, the battle was over. Rally Point Alpha Actual's voice came through the radio, steady now, victorious. All stations, Forward Operating Base Sentinel is secure. Hostile forces neutralized or retreating. Establish perimeter security. Prepare for medevac of wounded. Well done, people. Maya lowered the smoking M249 and felt the familiar weight settle onto her chest. The weight she had carried for 4 years. The weight she thought she had shed by becoming invisible. 18 months of pretending to be someone harmless, someone forgettable, someone safe. All of it undone in 90 minutes of violence that came as naturally as breathing. Specialist Morrison approached with eyes wide, voice shaking slightly. Reeves, I do not know who you were before tonight, but you just saved this entire base. Maya did not answer. She stared at the pile of spent brass casings surrounding her position, at the gun smoke curling through the air, at the M249 still warm against her hands. This was who she had been, the person she had tried to erase, the killer who was very good at killing. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the wire, she knew Marcus Webb was alive because of what she had done. The man she loved, the man she had abandoned because loving him meant confronting the violence inside herself. She closed her eyes and felt the tremors starting in her hands. Not fear, not adrenaline crash, just the old familiar companion. The knowledge that Maya Reeves could stop being a Marine, could stop carrying a rifle, could stop going to war. But she could never stop being capable of this, could never unknow what her body knew, could never unfeel the terrible competence of ending human lives with mechanical precision. The mask was gone, the ghost was visible again, and Forward Operating Base Sentinel would never see her the same way. In the distance, medevac helicopters approached, their rotor sounds cutting through the smoke and darkness. Maya picked up her radio and began coordinating landing zones, falling back into the role of helpful contractor, the woman who solved problems and stayed in the background. But everyone would remember now. Everyone would know. The comfortable invisibility of Maya Reeves had died tonight. Something else had been born in its place. Something the Marine Corps had created and the civilian world could not contain. A weapon, waiting in plain sight, ready when needed, just like always. Dawn came to Forward Operating Base Sentinel like a judge passing sentence. Cold gray light revealed the full scope of carnage that darkness had mercifully hidden. Smoke still rose from burning vehicles. Spent brass casings littered the ground and copper constellations marking where men had fought and died. Blood stained the concrete in patterns that told stories no one wanted to read. The air smelled of cordite and diesel fuel and something else underneath. Something organic and terrible that Maya Reeves recognized from previous wars in previous lives. She sat on the steps of the armory building, the M249 squad automatic weapon resting across her knees, hands still trembling with the aftershocks of combat. Around her, soldiers moved through the mechanical routines of post-battle operations, collecting weapons from enemy dead, securing prisoners, establishing new defensive perimeters, treating wounded. The organized chaos of professionals doing ugly work that needed doing. Maya had not moved in 40 minutes, had not spoken, had barely breathed. She stared at her hands, at the gunsmoke residue on her fingers, at the small cuts from flying glass and concrete fragments. These hands had killed at least 15 human beings tonight, maybe more. She had stopped counting after the armory firefight dissolved into a blur of muzzle flashes and falling bodies. 15 souls sent into whatever darkness waited beyond death. 15 men who had woken up yesterday morning with no idea that a woman in thick glasses who fixed computer networks would be the last thing they ever saw. Footsteps approached. Heavy boots on concrete. Military cadence. Maya did not look up. She knew those footsteps, had known them for 6 years, could identify them in complete darkness by rhythm and weight distribution alone. Sergeant Marcus Webb stopped 3 feet away, close enough to speak privately, far enough to maintain professional distance. His uniform was torn and bloodstained. Zip tie marks ringed his wrists where he had been bound. A purple bruise was forming along his jaw where someone had hit him. But he was alive, standing, breathing, whole. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. What was there to say? 4 years of silence sat between them like a minefield where any word might detonate something better left buried. Marcus broke first. His voice came out rough, damaged by shouting commands through gunfire and smoke. 4 years, Maya. 4 years you have been here. 4 years I thought you were dead or disappeared into witness protection or living on some beach somewhere trying to forget. And you were 30 miles away the whole time, fixing computers. Maya finally looked up, met his eyes, saw the complicated mixture of emotions there. Relief, anger, confusion. Something else underneath that she did not want to name because naming it would make it real. I was trying to disappear, she said quietly. Trying to become someone who was not good at killing people. Trying to forget Ramadi. Marcus flinched at the name. Ramadi. The mission that ended both their careers. The mission that sent them running in opposite directions from the smoking crater their lives had become. You cannot forget Ramadi by pretending it never happened, he said. I tried that too. Stayed in. Deployed again. Threw myself into the work. Thought if I stayed busy enough, the nightmares would stop. He gestured at the base around them, at the destruction, at the bodies being loaded into bags. You see how well that worked? Maya looked down at the M249 again. The weapon was still warm, still carried the smell of burnt powder and hot metal. I did not want to be this person anymore, she said. Did not want to be someone whose first instinct under pressure is violence, whose muscle memory defaults to killing. I wanted to be normal, safe, forgettable. Marcus sat down beside her on the steps. Not touching, just present. The way he had been present 6 years ago when they were partners, when they trusted each other with their lives because trust was the only currency that mattered in combat. Normal people died tonight, he said. Safe people, forgettable people. They died in their bunks or running for cover or on their knees waiting to be executed. You know what saved them? He turned to look at her directly. The woman who is not normal, who is not safe, who refuses to be forgotten. You saved them, Maya. You saved me. She felt something crack inside her chest. Something she had been holding rigid for 4 years. Her vision blurred with tears she absolutely would not shed. Not here. Not now. Not with 200 witnesses and bodies still being counted. I killed 3 children, Marcus. Ramadi. The mission. I shot 3 kids because the intel was bad and the building was wrong, and I trusted the order and pulled the trigger before my brain could process what my eyes were seeing. She forced the words out through a throat that wanted to close. 3 children. Not combatants. Not threats. Children. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of someone who had carried the same stones in his pockets for years. I know. I was there. I saw. And I also saw you try to save them afterward. Saw you perform CPR on a 10-year-old girl for 20 minutes even though her skull was... He stopped, shook his head. I saw you try. I saw you break when trying was not enough. I saw the person you were die that night along with those kids. But people are alive today because that person came back, he continued. Corporal Reed, Specialist Morrison, me, 60 other Americans who would be dead if you had stayed invisible. So maybe you need to stop punishing yourself for one terrible mistake and start accepting that you are who you are. A warrior. Maybe the best one I have ever known. Maya laughed, but the sound came out broken and bitter. The best warrior. What a thing to be proud of. What a legacy. Here lies Maya Reeves, expert at ending human life. Better than here lies Maya Reeves, who could have saved lives but chose not to because she was too busy hiding from herself. Marcus stood up, extended a hand. Come on. The captain wants to debrief everyone who engaged the enemy. That includes you. Maya stared at his hand for 3 heartbeats. Taking it meant accepting the reality that her cover was gone. That Maya Reeves, the IT contractor, had evaporated. That questions would follow. Investigations. Her classified file would be pulled. The Navy Cross she had never wanted would become part of the discussion. But Marcus was right. People were alive because she had stopped hiding. That had to mean something. She took his hand and let him pull her to her feet. The M249 came with her, slung over her shoulder with the casual familiarity of someone who had carried squad automatic weapons across 2 continents. They walked together through the devastated base toward the command post, not speaking, just moving through the wreckage side by side, the way they had moved through 100 tactical situations before everything went wrong. The command post had taken minor damage but remained functional. Inside, Captain Ethan Cole stood over a map table covered in marked positions and casualty reports. He looked up when Maya and Marcus entered. His expression was carefully neutral, the professional mask of an officer processing information that did not fit his previous understanding of reality. Cole was 34, former 75th Ranger Regiment, with 3 deployments and a reputation for tactical competence. He had taken command of FOB Sentinel 8 months ago and run it with textbook efficiency. Maya had interacted with him exactly twice in that time, both occasions involving network security updates that required his authorization. He had barely looked at her then, just another contractor doing technical work. He was looking at her very differently now. "Contractor Reeves," he said. The formal title sounded strange given the circumstances. "Please have a seat. We need to reconstruct the timeline and establish exactly what happened tonight." Maya sat. Marcus positioned himself against the wall, arms crossed, watching. 3 other soldiers were present, senior NCOs taking notes and managing communications. The atmosphere was professional but carried an undercurrent of something else: uncertainty. The cognitive dissonance of people trying to reconcile what they knew about Maya Reeves with what they had witnessed. "Let us start with the basics," Cole said. "You are listed in our personnel files as a network security contractor. Civilian, no military affiliation noted. But tonight you engage enemy forces with what appears to be expert-level tactical proficiency." He consulted his notes. "You are credited with at least 12 confirmed enemy kills, disruption of their reinforcement element, and coordination of the counterattack that broke their assault." He looked up. "That is not typical contractor behavior." Maya kept her voice level. "No, sir, it is not." "So help me understand, who are you actually?" Maya glanced at Marcus. He gave a small nod. "Permission, or maybe encouragement." She turned back to Cole. "My name is Maya Reeves, Corporal, United States Marine Corps, Force Reconnaissance qualified. I served 4 years active duty with 2 combat deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. I separated from service with an honorable discharge in 2021 and took contractor work to stay clear of combat operations. My military record is partially classified due to the nature of some missions I participated in." Cole studied her for a long moment. "Force reconnaissance, that is Tier 2 special operations, advanced infantry tactics, direct action, deep reconnaissance. Some of the most elite training the Marine Corps offers." "Yes, sir. And you chose to work as an IT contractor, fixing computers, at a forward operating base in a combat zone." "Yes, sir." "Why?" The question hung in the air. Maya knew the answer, but putting it into words meant admitting things she had worked hard to avoid admitting. She took a breath. "Because I was good at killing people, sir. Very good. And it was destroying me. I needed to be someone else for a while. Someone whose hands fixed things instead of breaking them. Someone who helped instead of hurt." She met his eyes. "I thought I could leave the warrior behind. Tonight proved I was wrong." Cole absorbed this, made notes, looked at Marcus. "Sergeant Webb, you served with contractor Reeves previously?" Marcus straightened slightly. "Yes, sir. We were in the same Force Recon unit, deployed together twice. She was the best operator I ever worked with." He paused. "When she separated, I thought it was permanent. Did not know she was at Sentinel until tonight." "And you maintain communication silence about this?" "We did not communicate at all, sir. We were protecting each other's privacy and respecting her choice to leave that life behind." Cole nodded slowly. He turned to one of the NCOs. "Sergeant First Class Davis, what is the current casualty count?" Davis consulted his tablet. 4 KIA, 12 wounded, none critical. All wounded are stable and will survive. Enemy count is 23 confirmed KYA. 8 prisoners secured. Unknown number fled through the perimeter. 4 dead, Cole repeated quietly. 4 out of 250 personnel against an assault force of 60-plus hostiles with heavy weapons and inside knowledge of our defenses. He looked at Maya. "By all tactical projections, we should have lost 50 to 70 personnel tonight. Maybe more. The only reason we did not is because you provided early warning, precision fires, and tactical coordination that disrupted their plan." He set down his pen. "Contractor Reeves, you saved this base." Maya said nothing. Saving the base meant killing 15 people. The math did not feel like victory. "However," Cole continued, "we now have significant problems. Your classified background is going to draw attention from higher headquarters. They will want to know why a Force Recon veteran with a secret clearance was working as an unvetted contractor at a forward operating base. They will pull your files. They will ask questions." "I understand, sir." "There is more. One of the prisoners we captured has been talking, claims they had detailed intelligence on our base layout, defensive positions, and personnel assignments." He looked grim. We have a security breach. Someone gave the enemy information. We have a leak somewhere in our personnel. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. Inside information. That explained how the assault had been so precisely coordinated, how they knew which towers to hit first, where the rally points would form, how to cut the base in half. Marcus spoke up from his position against the wall. Sir, with respect, that means we cannot trust anyone. If there is an insider feeding intelligence to the enemy, they could be anywhere, any rank, any position. Exactly, Cole said. Which is why this debriefing is limited to personnel I personally trust. He looked at Maya. And why I need to ask you something, Contractor Reeves. Are you willing to help us find the leak? Maya blinked. Sir, I am a network security contractor. I find vulnerabilities in computer systems, not personnel. You are also someone with high-level tactical training, combat experience, and a unique perspective on this situation. Cole leaned forward. More importantly, you are someone nobody expects. The invisible IT contractor. You blend into the background. People do not notice you. That makes you ideal for quiet observation. You want me to spy on American soldiers. I want you to help protect American soldiers, Cole corrected. Someone in this base sold us out. Sold out Sergeant Webb and 5 other men who were minutes away from execution. Sold out 4 people who died tonight. He held her gaze. We need to find them before they can do it again. Maya looked at Marcus. He nodded fractionally. She turned back to Cole. What exactly do you want me to do? Enemy clearly possessed. I need you to enemy clearly possessed. I need you to observe them. Monitor their communications. See if anyone is behaving suspiciously or making contact outside normal channels. Use your IT access to check their digital footprints. Maya scanned the list. 2 officers, 2 NCOs, 1 civilian contractor, all people she had seen around the base. All people who looked exactly like loyal Americans doing their jobs. One name jumped out, Jake Morrison, the nervous young specialist from the armory who had fought beside her tonight, who had seemed shocked by her abilities, who had triple-checked every piece of paperwork like someone afraid of making mistakes, or like someone afraid of being caught. I will need access to communications logs and network traffic data, Maya said, an authority to move freely around the base without drawing attention. You will have it. Cole handed her a signed authorization. This gives you priority access to any system you need for network security purposes. Use it. Maya took the paper, felt the weight of what she was accepting. Hunting for a traitor among people who had just fought and bled together felt wrong, but letting a traitor operate freely felt worse. I will start immediately, she said. Good. Cole stood, signaling the meeting was ending. One more thing, Contractor Reeves. Officially, you were in the server room during the attack and took no direct action. Your involvement in the tactical response remains classified. We are protecting your identity for operational security. Maya understood. They were keeping her secret to preserve her usefulness. The invisible IT contractor could observe in ways a known combat veteran could not. Yes, sir, understood. Dismissed. Maya and Marcus left the command post together. Outside, the sun was fully up now, harsh mountain light revealing every detail of the battlefield. Medical teams were still working. Engineers were already beginning repairs. Life continued because it had to. Marcus walked with her toward the server room. When they were far enough from other personnel to speak privately, he said, You do not have to do this. Hunt for the traitor. You could refuse. Walk away. Maya shook her head. If there is an insider, they are responsible for tonight, for the 4 dead, for you almost being executed. I cannot walk away from that and not walk. Just be careful. Marcus stopped walking, turned to face her. Whoever the leak is, they are working with people who tried to overrun this base. People who execute prisoners. If they realize you are hunting them, you become a target. I have been a target before. Not like this. Not from inside, not from someone who knows the base, knows the routines, knows where you sleep. His expression was serious. Promise me you will be careful. Maya looked at him. Really looked. Saw the concern there. The fear. Not for himself, for her. The way he had always worried about her even when they were both warriors who dealt in violence professionally. I promise, she said quietly. Marcus seemed about to say something else. Something important. His mouth opened. Closed. He looked away, then back. Finally, the words came out rough and honest. I never stopped, Maya. 4 years, 2 deployments, a dozen missions. Never stopped thinking about you. Never stopped wondering if you were okay. never stopped wishing things had been different, that Ramadi had not happened, that we could have had a normal life instead of this. Maya felt her chest tighten. She had spent 4 years not thinking about Marcus Webb, not letting herself remember what they had been to each other, not acknowledging that she had loved him with an intensity that terrified her, because loving someone meant having something to lose, and warriors could not afford to lose. Marcus, she started, then stopped. What could she say? That she had loved him too? Still loved him? That she had run away, not because she wanted to, but because staying would have meant confronting everything Ramadi had broken inside her, and she was not strong enough for that? He raised a hand. You do not have to say anything. I just needed you to know. In case, he gestured at the base, at the aftermath, at the uncertainty of what came next. In case there is not another chance to say it. Then he turned and walked away. Back to his squad, back to his responsibilities, leaving Maya standing alone with words unsaid and feelings she had no idea how to process. She went to the server room, her supposed sanctuary, the place where Maya Reeves, the contractor, existed in the comfortable fiction of normalcy. But the room looked different now. The weapons locker hung open, empty. Spent brass casings still littered the floor, bullet holes stitched across one wall. This was not a place of safety anymore. It was a place where she had made a choice and everything had changed. Maya sat at her workstation and pulled up the network logs, started tracing communications from the previous 72 hours, looking for patterns, anomalies, anything that suggested someone was sending information outside authorized channels. The work was familiar, comfortable. She was good at this, had always been good at finding hidden things in data structures. Before the Marine Corps taught her to kill, she had been a scholarship student studying computer science. The skills had made her valuable to Force Recon, made her someone who could hack enemy systems, disrupt communications, turn technology into weapons. Now she used those same skills to hunt a traitor. 3 hours into the analysis, she found something. A satellite phone connection that should not exist. Someone at FOB Sentinel had made 3 calls in the past week to a number registered in Pakistan. Each call lasted less than 90 seconds, just long enough to pass information, not long enough to trace in real time. The calls originated from the administration building, from a terminal that required security clearance to access. Maya cross-referenced the access logs with the list of 5 suspects Captain Cole had given her. 2 people had used that terminal during the time frames of the calls. One was Major Thompson, the base executive officer, 50 years old, 25 years of service, decorated veteran. The other was Specialist Jake Morrison, 25 years old, 3 years in service, no deployment experience before Afghanistan. Maya stared at the names. Major Thompson seemed impossible. A quarter-century of loyal service. Why would he turn? But Jake Morrison fit a different profile. Young, inexperienced, nervous, maybe vulnerable to pressure or money or ideology. She needed more evidence, started digging deeper into Morrison's background, financial records, communications, personal history, and found something that made her breath catch. Morrison's younger sister had stage 4 cancer. Treatment costs were astronomical. The family had created a fundraising page 6 months ago begging for help with medical bills. The page showed they had raised less than 5% of what was needed. A young soldier with a dying sister in crushing debt. That was leverage, that was motive. Someone could have offered him money, enough money to save his sister in exchange for information that seemed harmless. Just base layouts, personnel numbers, defensive positions. Morrison might not have even understood what the information would be used for until tonight when the assault began. Maya was reaching for her radio to contact Captain Cole when the power died. Not a flicker this time. Total blackout. The server room plunged into darkness. Emergency lighting should have activated immediately. It did not. Someone had killed the backup systems too. Maya's Force Recon training took over. She dropped below desk level, making herself a smaller target. Drew the sidearm she had quietly requisitioned from the armory earlier. Controlled her breathing. Listen. Footsteps in the hallway. Multiple individuals, moving with tactical discipline, not running, not panicking, advancing with purpose. The server room door crashed open. Maya stayed below the desk, weapon up, waiting for targets to silhouette against the hallway light. But the hallway was dark too. Whoever was coming had night vision, had planned this, had known exactly where she would be. A voice spoke from the darkness. American accent, Flat, professional. Contractor Reeves. You have information you should not have. Looking into things that do not concern you. That creates problems. Maya said nothing. Giving away her position through sound would be fatal. She shifted slightly, moving on hands and knees, putting distance between herself and where her voice would have originated. The voice continued. The people I work for are very interested in you, Maya. The ghost of Ramadi, Navy Cross recipient, classified missions. You are quite famous in certain circles. Famous enough that someone wants to meet you. Someone who remembers you from Iraq. Ice water flooded Maya's veins. Someone who remembered her from Iraq, from Ramadi. Someone who knew about the mission, about the children. The voice said a name that made Maya's world stop. Khalid Hassan sends his regards. He has been waiting a long time to talk to you about what you took from him. Khalid Hassan. The name detonated in Maya's mind like a claymore mine loaded with memories. Khalid had been their local informant in Ramadi, the warlord who provided intelligence, who had given them the coordinates for the mission, the coordinates that were wrong, that sent them into the wrong building, that resulted in 3 dead children. But Khalid Hassan had not made a mistake. Maya understood that now with terrible clarity. He had given them false coordinates deliberately, had sent them to kill his enemies while eliminating American witnesses to his own crimes, had used Force Recon as his personal execution squad, and somehow, 4 years later, Khalid Hassan had found her. Maya made her decision in less than a second. She triggered the fire suppression system using her phone, a back door she had coded into the building systems months ago. Halon gas flooded the server room with a hiss like 1,000 snakes. Not immediately dangerous to humans, but disorienting, vision obscuring, providing cover. She moved fast and low, using the desk arrangement as cover, heading for the rear exit she had scouted the first week she arrived, the door that led to the maintenance tunnels, the escape route she had planned without knowing why she planned it, except that planning escape routes was what Force Recon operators did automatically. Gunfire erupted behind her, suppressed weapons coughing rounds into the space where she had been. She did not return fire, did not give away her position, just moved through the halon cloud like a ghost, reaching the maintenance door, yanking it open, diving through. She pulled the door shut and engaged the emergency lock. Would not hold long but did not need to. She ran through the maintenance tunnel, using her phone light to navigate, hearing pursuit behind her but gaining distance with every second. The tunnel emerged near the motor pool. Maya came out fast, weapon up, scanning for threats. The base was in chaos again. Someone had triggered the alarm. Soldiers were responding to the server room. She blended into the confusion, just another person moving with purpose. Found Marcus near the command post. He saw her expression, immediately knew something was wrong. What happened? Maya pulled him aside, voice low and urgent. The leak. It is not just about base security. This goes deeper. Khalid Hassan is involved. Marcus went pale. Khalid? From Ramadi? That is impossible. He is supposed to be, what? Dead? Reformed? Maya shook her head. He is alive, and he is behind the attack tonight. Someone just tried to grab me from the server room. Said Hassan wants to meet me, wants to talk about what I took from him. The children, Marcus whispered. His wife, his daughters, the mission. Maya, those were not random civilians. Those were Hassan's family. That was why the coordinates were wrong. He set us up, wanted us to kill his own family so he could blame Americans and consolidate power. No, Maya said quietly, the truth settling over her like a burial shroud. He did not want us to kill them. He wanted me to kill them, specifically, because I was the operator who went through the door first. I was the one who pulled the trigger. He arranged for me to murder his family so he would have justification for revenge. Marcus stared at her. That is insane, that level of planning, that level of sacrifice. What kind of monster kills his own family for political leverage? The kind we created when we destabilized his country and armed his enemies and turned his world into a war zone. Maya said, we made Khalid Hassan, and now he is coming to collect payment. Gunfire erupted across the base, not the heavy sustained combat of earlier. Precise shots targeted. Maya and Marcus both recognized the sound. Assassination work. Marcus grabbed her arm. Come on, we need to get to Cole. This is bigger than a base security leak. This is a coordinated operation targeting you specifically. They ran for the command post. Found chaos. Captain Cole was on 3 radios simultaneously, coordinating response to multiple incidents. He saw Maya and Marcus immediately wave them over. Someone just tried to kill Major Thompson, he said without preamble. Sniper round through his office window. He is dead. Same time, two of the other names on my suspect list were attacked. One wounded, one escaped. He looked at Maya. Someone is eliminating witnesses, cleaning house. Maya felt the pieces clicking together. The insider was removing anyone who could expose them, anyone who knew too much. But they had made a mistake. They had revealed themselves through action. Morrison, she said. Jake Morrison is the leak. He had access. He had motive. Sister with cancer, crushing medical debt. Someone offered him money and he took it. Cole was already moving, barking orders into his radio. All units, locate and detain Specialist Jake Morrison. Consider him armed and dangerous. Do not approach alone. Too late. The report came back 30 seconds later. Morrison spotted at the motor pool. He is attempting to steal a vehicle. Maya and Marcus were running before Cole finished processing the information. The motor pool was 200 meters away. They covered it in under a minute, weapons drawn, moving with the synchronized precision of partners who had done this 1,000 times. Jake Morrison was trying to hotwire a Humvee, hands shaking, face panicked. He saw them coming and drew a sidearm, aimed it at them with the uncertain grip of someone who had never fired a weapon in anger. Do not, Maya said, voice calm, controlled. Do not make this worse than it already is. Morrison's gun hand trembled. I did not have a choice. My sister is dying. They offered enough money to save her. I just had to give them information. I did not know they would attack. Did not know people would die. You gave them everything, Marcus said. Defensive positions, guard rotations, the locations where we would rally if attacked. You painted targets on your brothers. I am sorry. Morrison's voice broke. I am so sorry, but Emily is 12 years old and she is dying, and the insurance will not cover the treatment, and I could not just let her die. Maya understood desperation, understood impossible choices, understood what people would sacrifice when faced with losing someone they loved. But understanding did not mean forgiving. Who paid you, Jake? Who did you give the information to? Morrison swallowed hard. A woman, called herself Dr. Chen, said she worked for a medical charity that helps veterans' families. She seemed legitimate, had credentials, had a whole organization. He looked sick. I did not know. I swear I did not know. Dr. Chen? Maya filed the name away, another piece of the puzzle. Where is she now? Morrison gestured with his gun, still pointed vaguely in their direction. She left this morning, said there was an emergency, took a helicopter. I think she knew the attack failed, knew I would be exposed. Put the gun down, Jake, Marcus said quietly. This ends one of two ways. You surrender and face court-martial, or you make me shoot you, and your sister loses her brother along with everything else. Morrison looked at the weapon in his hand like he was surprised to find it there. Looked at Maya and Marcus, two professional warriors who would kill him without hesitation if he forced them to. Then he looked at the sky, at the mountains, at anything except the choice he had to make. The gun fell from his hand. He collapsed to his knees, sobbing. I just wanted to save my sister. That is all. Just save Emily. Maya approached carefully, kicked the weapon away, zip-tied Morrison's hands. Felt nothing but hollow victory. They had found the leak, stopped the immediate threat. But Khalid Hassan was still out there. Dr. Chen was still operational. And someone had tried to kidnap Maya specifically. This was not over. This was barely beginning. Captain Cole arrived with security personnel, took custody of Morrison, looked at Maya with an expression that mixed respect with something else. Concern, maybe. Or recognition that she was at the center of something far larger than a base security breach. We need to talk, he said. Privately. There are elements to this situation I was not briefed on. Elements involving your past. Maya nodded. Knew this conversation was coming. Knew her classified history was about to become unclassified whether she wanted it to or not. But first she needed to process what Morrison had revealed. Dr. Chen, a woman working for Khalid Hassan, running recruitment operations, paying American soldiers to betray their brothers. And somewhere beyond the wire, Khalid Hassan was watching, waiting, planning whatever came next. The ghost of Ramadi had come home to haunt her, and Maya Reeves was running out of places to hide from her past. Captain Ethan Cole's private office felt like a confessional, small, enclosed. The kind of space where secrets came to die under the weight of fluorescent lighting and official scrutiny. Maya sat across the desk from him, Marcus standing behind her right shoulder like a sentinel, while Cole arranged a series of files that should not exist in a forward operating base commander's possession. The files were marked with classifications Maya recognized: top secret, compartmented, need to know, the kind of paperwork that came with criminal penalties for unauthorized disclosure. Cole opened the first folder, and Maya saw her own face staring back from a personnel photo taken 6 years ago. Younger, harder, the eyes of someone who had not yet killed children. "Let us establish some facts," Cole said. His voice carried the careful neutrality of someone walking through a minefield of clearance levels and jurisdictional authority. "Your full name is Maya Elizabeth Reeves, born in Denver, Colorado, recruited into Marine Corps after community college on a computer science scholarship, selected for force reconnaissance training based on exceptional aptitude scores and physical fitness, completed the pipeline, got your tab, deployed twice, Iraq and Afghanistan." Maya said nothing, just listened to her life summarized in military efficiency. "What the standard record does not show," Cole continued, opening another file, "is that you were attached to Joint Special Operations Task Forces for both deployments, not regular force recon work. You were doing direct action missions, high-value target elimination, deep penetration reconnaissance, the kind of operations that get people Navy crosses and psychological trauma in equal measure." He pulled out a photograph, aerial surveillance image, a compound in Ramadi. Maya's hands clenched involuntarily. April 15th, 2021. Operation Phantom Fury follow-on action. Your team was tasked with eliminating a high-value target identified as facilitating weapons smuggling to insurgent forces. The intelligence came from a local source code named Raven, real name Khalid Hassan, former warlord who had supposedly reformed and was cooperating with the coalition forces. Maya found her voice. The intelligence was wrong. "The intelligence was deliberately falsified," Cole corrected. "Hassan gave your team coordinates for a compound he claimed housed weapons and insurgent leadership. What he did not mention was that the compound actually housed his wife and 2 daughters, ages 8 and 6. 3 children," Maya said quietly. "There was a neighbor boy, 10 years old, wrong place, wrong time." Cole nodded. "You went through the door first, standard dynamic entry. The occupants were awake, moving around, and in the darkness and confusion you made a split-second identification. Perceived a threat, engaged. I murdered 3 children because I trusted the intelligence and pulled the trigger before my brain processed what my eyes were seeing." Maya's voice was flat, affectless, the tone of someone who had told this story to therapists and review boards in their own reflection until the words lost all meaning. 3 kills, perfect center mass shots, textbook marksmanship applied to the worst possible targets. "The subsequent investigation cleared you of wrongdoing," Cole said. "Rules of engagement were followed. The intelligence failure was not your fault. Hassan had deliberately set you up. Clearing me of wrongdoing does not clear me of responsibility," Maya said. "I pulled the trigger. I killed them. The investigation can call it justified. The Marine Corps can give me a medal. Doesn't change what I did." Marcus spoke up from behind her. "The medal was for what happened after. Maya tried to save them, performed CPR, called for medevac, refused to leave until the medics arrived, even though the compound was taking fire from actual insurgents who showed up during the extraction. She stayed with those kids until there was absolutely no hope left. And then she fell apart," Cole said, consulting notes. Psychological evaluation flagged severe acute stress reaction. PTSD symptoms. Moral injury, recommended for extended treatment. You refused counseling after initial mandatory sessions, requested separation. Were allowed to leave with honorable discharge and classified service record. I could not stay in, Maya said. Could not keep being someone who killed for a living. Every time I picked up a weapon after that, I saw their faces. Every trigger pull was pulling the trigger on those kids again, so I left. Became someone else. Someone harmless. Except you were never harmless, Cole said. You were just pretending. And last night proved that pretense was unsustainable. He closed the files. Here is what I was not told when you were hired as a contractor. I was not told you had special operations background. Was not told about the Navy Cross. Was not told you were the center of an intelligence failure that got an allied source's family killed. And I was definitely not told that the source, Khalid Hassan, spent the last 4 years building a criminal empire while publicly playing reformed warlord. Maya looked up sharply. What? Cole pulled out another file. This one was thicker, more recent. Khalid Hassan, age 39, former Taliban affiliate who switched sides in 2019, claimed to have seen the era of extremism, started providing intelligence to coalition forces. After the Ramadi incident, he used his wife and daughter's deaths as martyrdom credentials, rallied support, positioned himself as a victim of American aggression, parlayed that into political power and business interests. Business interests, Marcus repeated. You mean criminal operations, drugs, weapons, human trafficking. Cole said it clinically. Hassan built an empire while wearing the mask of a reformed terrorist. He works with everyone. Taliban, ISIS, criminal syndicates, anyone who pays. And he has been untouchable because officially he is an American ally. A success story, the warlord who chose peace. Maya felt sick, so he deliberately sacrificed his own family to build credibility. Used their deaths as propaganda, as a shield to operate behind. That is the assessment of multiple intelligence agencies, yes. Cole leaned forward. And here is the part that directly affects you. 6 months ago, CIA intercepted communications suggesting Hassan was planning an operation targeting American personnel. Not random, specific individuals. They could not determine the targets or the timeline, but the chatter was consistent. Someone was being hunted. Me, Maya said. He has been hunting me. CIA suspected but could not confirm. So they did what intelligence agencies do. They set a trap. They made sure you were hired at FOB Sentinel. Made sure your background was obscured just enough to be discoverable if someone looked hard. Made sure Hassan's intelligence network would eventually find you. Maya stood up so fast her chair fell backward. You used me as bait. You put me in a forward operating base in a combat zone and used me as bait to draw out Hassan. We put you in a location with 250 American soldiers and significant defensive capability, Cole corrected, with orders to protect you if Hassan made a move, which he did. Last night's attack was not about taking the base, it was about taking you. The assault, the execution line, the systematic clearing of buildings. Maya saw it now with horrible clarity. They were not trying to hold FOB Sentinel. They were trying to find her. The attack was cover for a kidnapping operation. Marcus grabbed her arm. Steady. Processing the betrayal would come later. Right now, we need to focus on what happens next. Cole continued. What you do not know is that last night's attack was not Hassan's full effort. The assault force that hit us was a probing action, a test. Hassan was not with them, neither was his primary force. He wanted to see how we would respond, wanted to see if the ghost of Ramadi was really here. And I proved it, Maya said bitterly. Killed 15 of his men with expert marksmanship and tactical coordination. Might as well have sent him an engraved invitation confirming my identity. Which brings us to Dr. Sarah Chen, Cole said. He pulled out a photograph. Asian woman, early 40s, professional appearance, the kind of face that looked trustworthy and competent. Dr. Chen is not a medical charity worker. She is a CIA officer assigned to Special Activities Division. She has been undercover at this base for 3 months. Maya's world tilted. Morrison said Chen recruited him, paid him to leak information. Yes, and that information came straight to CIA. We knew about the attack before it happened. We let it proceed because stopping it would have blown Chen's cover and ended the operation to get Hassan. You let American soldiers die to protect a spy operation, Marcus said. His voice was dangerous, quiet, the kind of quiet that preceded violence. We anticipated a probing raid, not a full-scale assault, Cole said. The intelligence suggested a small team, a dozen fighters maximum. We did not know Hassan would commit 60 men with heavy weapons. That was a miscalculation. He met Maya's eyes. People died because we underestimated Hassan's commitment to finding you. That blood is on CIA's hands, and mine for agreeing to the operation. Where is Chen now? Maya demanded. She evacuated this morning under cover of emergency medical transport. She is reporting to her handlers, providing debrief on Hassan's capabilities and intentions, and preparing for Phase 2. Phase 2? Maya repeated. Hassan knows you are here now, knows you are alive, knows you are still operational. He will come for you again, And this time it will not be a raid, it will be personal. He will want to look you in the eyes when he takes his revenge for what you did to his family. Even though he set them up to die. Even though he sacrificed them deliberately. Maya shook her head. That is insane. That is grief, Cole said. Human psychology does not follow tactical logic. Hassan may have arranged their deaths, but you pulled the trigger. In his mind, you are responsible. You are the weapon that killed his family, and he will not rest until he destroys you. So what is phase 2, Marcus asked. We let Hassan come for Maya. We control the circumstances. We end him permanently. You want to use her as bait again? Marcus said. His hand moved toward his sidearm. Captain, with all respect, that is not happening. It is happening, a new voice said from the doorway. A woman's voice. Calm, professional, carrying absolute authority. Maya turned and saw Dr. Sarah Chen standing there, not in civilian contractor clothes, in tactical gear, body armor, sidearm, CIA credentials hanging around her neck. She looked like what she actually was, a covert operator who had been playing a role. Chen entered the office, closed the door, looked at Maya with an expression that mixed professional assessment with something almost like sympathy. Corporal Reeves, we have not been formally introduced. I am Special Activities Division Officer Sarah Chen. I have been running this operation for 6 months, and you have been its centerpiece from the beginning. Maya stared at her. You recruited Morrison, paid him to leak information, set him up to betray his brothers. I gave Morrison exactly what he asked for, money for his sister's cancer treatment, in exchange for information he believed was going to a medical research foundation studying combat stress. He never knew who the real recipient was. Hassan, Maya said, through cutouts, through intermediaries. Morrison was a useful idiot, a way to feed Hassan intelligence that made him confident enough to act. We needed him to commit forces, needed him to reveal his network, needed him to come after you. And you got 4 Americans killed in the process. Chen's expression hardened. I got actionable intelligence on a high-value target who has been responsible for hundreds of deaths. Who runs networks that kill Americans daily? Who hides behind political connections that make him untouchable through conventional means? She stepped closer. 4 deaths to stop hundreds more. That is the math we work with in SAD. That is the math you worked with in Force Recon. Don't you dare compare what I did to what you did, Maya said. I killed in combat, direct engagement, not by manipulating kids into betraying their brothers. You killed 3 children, Chen said flatly. Used excellent marksmanship to put rounds through their center mass. Perfect shots, perfect kills. And you did it because you trusted intelligence from someone you should not have trusted. She paused. How is that different from Morrison trusting me? The words hit like physical blows. Maya wanted to argue, wanted to explain the difference. But the truth was there was no difference. Both of them had been manipulated by people they thought they could trust. Both of them had blood on their hands because of it. Marcus intervened. Enough. Chen, what do you want? I want Maya to help us finish this. Hassan is planning a second attempt. Bigger. More personal. We have communications intercepts suggesting he will be personally present for the operation. That gives us a chance to eliminate him permanently. By dangling Maya in front of him like a target, Marcus said. By giving Hassan exactly what he wants, Chen corrected. A chance at revenge. A chance to kill the ghost of Ramadi. We control the environment. We stack the deck. And when he commits, we take him down. And if your plan fails, if Hassan is better than you think, then Maya dies and Hassan probably escapes and we are back to square one. Chen said it without emotion. Those are the risks, but consider the alternative. Hassan will keep coming. We'll keep sending people. We'll keep escalating until he succeeds or Maya spends the rest of her life running. She looked at Maya. You tried running for 4 years. How did that work out? Maya said nothing. Chen was right. Running had not worked. Hiding had not worked. Becoming invisible had not worked. The past had found her anyway. What exactly are you proposing, she asked. We stage a prisoner transfer, Chen said. Morrison is being transported to Bagram for court-martial. We leak that you will be accompanying the transport as a witness. Hassan's intelligence network picks it up. He sees an opportunity, a vulnerable convoy, a chance to take you in the open. He hits the convoy with everything he has. And we are waiting for him, Cole said. Quick reaction force, air support, overwhelming firepower. We turn his ambush into our kill box. Using Maya as bait to draw him out, Marcus said. Using Maya as an operator to help neutralize a high-value target, Chen corrected. She is not a helpless victim. She is a combat veteran with skills specifically relevant to this operation. She looked at Maya. You are the only person alive who can identify Hassan on sight. Who knows his voice? Who can confirm the kill? We need you in the field. Maya thought about it. Thought about 4 more years of running, of looking over her shoulder, of waiting for Hassan to send the next team, the next bomb, the next bullet. Or she could end it, could face the past directly, could stop being prey and remember how to be a predator. I have conditions, she said. Name them. Marcus comes with me. He is my partner, my backup, non-negotiable. Agreed, Chen said immediately. Full tactical briefing. I need to know the plan, the routes, the fallbacks, everything. Done. And if Hassan shows up, if we get confirmation it is him, I pull the trigger. Maya's voice was cold. Not you. Not some sniper 1,000 meters away. Me. I killed his family. I end him. That is how this has to finish. Chen studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Acceptable. But understand, Maya, once you commit to this, there is no walking away. You are acknowledging your role in this operation, accepting the consequences. This is not contractor work. This is direct action against a hostile force. You will be operating under CIA authority in a foreign combat zone. I understand, Maya said. When do we move? 48 hours. Chen pulled out a tablet, started bringing up maps and operational details. We leaked the transport information tonight. Give Hassan time to organize his response. Convoy departs at 0600 day after tomorrow. Route takes us through the Tangi Valley. Perfect ambush terrain. We expect him to hit us there. How many shooters will Hassan bring? Marcus asked. Estimate 30 to 50 based on his typical operational strength. But he will have prepared the ground. I.e. the sniper positions, blocking forces, he will want overwhelming advantage. And our quick reaction force? Platoon strength Rangers positioned at standby locations. Apache gunships on alert. Drone coverage of the entire route. Chen looked up from her tablet. Hassan will have numbers. We will have technology and surprise. When he commits, we crush him. And if he does not take the bait, if he suspects a trap, then we have lost nothing except 2 days of preparation. We continue looking for opportunities. But Hassan's psychological profile suggests he will not be able to resist. His obsession with Maya is personal, emotional. He has waited 4 years for revenge. He will not let this chance pass. Maya absorbed the information. Tactical planning, asset positioning, fields of fire. It was familiar territory. The language of violence spoken with professional fluency. She had done this before, dozens of times. Planned operations, identified threats, executed missions. But those missions had ended with dead children and psychological destruction. What made this different? Nothing, she realized. Nothing made it different except this time she was walking in with eyes open. This time she knew the costs, knew the risks, knew that pulling the trigger meant living with the consequences forever. And she was doing it anyway. Because Hassan would not stop. Because more Americans would die. Because sometimes the only way to end a cycle of violence was with more violence. I am in, she said. Let us finish this. Chen nodded. Captain Cole will handle the operational security. I will coordinate with Rangers and air support. You and Marcus prepare your gear and run through likely scenarios. We briefed the full team in 36 hours. She left, just walked out, leaving Maya and Marcus alone with Cole, who looked like he had aged 10 years in the past hour. For what it is worth, Cole said quietly, I did not know Chen was using Morrison the way she was. Did not know the attack would be that heavy. If I had known, I would have refused to cooperate. Would you? Maya asked. Because from where I sit, the math Chen described is the same math you use every day. Send soldiers into danger to accomplish objectives. Some die. Most live. Mission continues. That is not the same. It is exactly the same, Maya said. You just prefer to think there is a difference. Makes it easier to sleep. She walked out. Marcus followed. They did not speak until they were outside, standing in the harsh mountain sunlight that made everything look too sharp, too real. You do not have to do this, Marcus said. We could disappear, go AWOL, run, and let Hassan keep killing Americans while he hunts for me. Maya shook her head. I ran for 4 years. It solved nothing. At least this way I am choosing the fight instead of having it chosen for me. You are choosing to walk into an ambush with a CIA officer who has already proven she will sacrifice Americans to accomplish her mission, which is why I need you watching my back." Maya turned to face him. "I cannot do this alone, Marcus. Cannot trust Chen. Cannot trust Cole. Can only trust you. So I am asking, will you walk into hell with me one more time?" Marcus looked at her, really looked, saw past the tactical operator to the broken woman underneath. The woman who had killed children and spent 4 years trying to atone. The woman he had loved and lost and found again in the worst possible circumstances. "I will walk into hell with you," he said. "Stay there if necessary, but I am bringing us both back out, alive, together. That is the deal." "Deal," Maya said. They shook hands like soldiers sealing a contract written in blood and kept with bullets. Then they went to prepare for an operation that would either end Khalid Hassan or end them trying. The next 48 hours passed in the strange, compressed time that preceded combat. Weapons inspections, ammunition counts, route studies, contingency planning. Maya fell back into the rhythms of pre-mission preparation with muscle memory that made it seem like 4 years had been 4 minutes. She and Marcus ran scenarios, likely ambush points, fields of fire, escape routes. They functioned as a team with the unconscious synchronization of people who had learned to predict each other's movements through survival necessity. Chen provided detailed intelligence. Hassan's known operating patterns, vehicle preferences, tactics employed in previous ambushes. The information was comprehensive, professional, and almost certainly incomplete because Hassan had survived this long by being unpredictable. The night before the operation, Maya could not sleep. She sat in her quarters cleaning her M4A1 for the 5th time, hands moving through the familiar sequence, when someone knocked on her door. Marcus entered carrying 2 cups of coffee, sat down across from her without asking permission. They drank in silence for a while, 2 warriors waiting for dawn and whatever it would bring. "Do you remember the first time we worked together?" Marcus asked eventually. "Training op at 29 Palms. You were new to the team. I was the experienced operator supposed to show you the ropes. And you patronized me for about 3 hours until I outshot you on the range and outnavigated you during the land nav course," Maya said. "Then you bought me a beer and told me I was going to get us all killed with my aggressive tactics. You did almost get us killed, multiple times, but you also saved our asses more times than I can count." He set down his coffee. "You were the best partner I ever had, Maya. Best operator, best friend, best everything. And then Ramadi happened and you left, and I spent 4 years wishing I had said something to make you stay." "There was nothing you could have said," Maya told him. "I was broken. I am still broken. You could not have fixed that. I did not want to fix you. I wanted to be broken with you. Wanted to sit in the dark together and share the weight instead of carrying it alone." He looked at her directly. "I loved you, Maya. Love you. Present tense. 4 years did not change that. Seeing you again just reminded me what I lost when you left." Maya felt something crack in her chest. The same feeling from 2 days ago, but deeper now. More painful. Because she was about to walk into an operation that might kill her and leave things unsaid permanently. "I loved you too," she said quietly. "Still do, but I do not know how to be with someone when I hate myself this much. Do not know how to let you love someone who killed children and can never be forgiven for it." "You forgave Morrison," Marcus pointed out. "Understood his choice, his desperation, his impossible situation. That is different." "How?" "Because Morrison was manipulated. I had training, experience. I should have known better. Should have questioned the intelligence. Should have hesitated before pulling the trigger. You had 3 seconds to make a decision in darkness with incomplete information and your life on the line," Marcus said. "You made the choice your training demanded, the choice any operator would make, the choice I would have made if I had been first through that door instead of you. But you were not first, I was, and I live with that." "Then let me live with it too," Marcus said. "Let me carry some of the weight. Let me be your partner again. Not just for this operation, after. If there is an after." Maya wanted to say yes, wanted to believe there could be an after, that she could survive tomorrow, that Hassan could be stopped, that she could stop running from herself long enough to let someone else in. "Ask me again after we finish this," she said. "If we are both still breathing when the dust settles, ask me again." Marcus nodded. "Deal." They sat together through the night, not sleeping, not speaking much, just being present. Two warriors waiting for dawn and the violence it would bring. When the sun rose, Maya felt ready. Not healed, not forgiven, not redeemed, but ready to face Khalid Hassan and the past and whatever judgment waited on the other side. The convoy assembled at 0600 exactly. 3 Humvees. The middle vehicle contained Morrison in restraints and shackles, playing his role as prisoner being transferred. Maya and Marcus rode in the lead vehicle with a 4-man Ranger security team. Chen rode in the trail vehicle with another security element. The route took them north through the Tangji Valley, a 30-kilometer stretch of road that wound through mountain passes and offered 100 perfect ambush sites. Every boulder could hide an IED. Every ridge could conceal snipers. Every curve could be a kill zone. Maya watched the terrain with the trained eye of someone who had both planned ambushes and survived them. Identified the most likely points, the places where she would hit the convoy if she were Hassan. They were 20 kilometers into the route when the radio crackled. Drone coverage is picking up multiple vehicle signatures converging on your route. 8 to 10 pickups. Estimate 30 to 40 personnel. They are moving to intercept. Chen's voice came through the net. All elements, this is it. Hassan is committing. Continue route, draw them in. Quick reaction force prepared to launch on my signal. Maya chambered around in her M4A1, felt the familiar pre-combat focus narrow everything to essential details. Breathing, sight picture, fields of fire. Marcus did the same beside her, their movements synchronized. The convoy rounded a curve and Maya saw them. Technical trucks blocking the road ahead. Men dismounting with weapons. RPG teams taking position on the ridges. Textbook ambush formation. Professional. Disciplined. Exactly what she expected. The lead Humvee stopped. Chen's voice came through the radio. All elements halt. Prepare to engage. Air support inbound in 90 seconds. But Maya was not looking at the technical trucks anymore. Was not watching the fighters. Was looking at a single figure standing on a ridge 300 meters away. Watching. Observing. A man in traditional Afghan clothing with binoculars raised. A man she had seen 4 years ago in very different circumstances. Khalid Hassan, personally present, just like Chen predicted. Maya grabbed her rifle, chambered around, looked at Marcus. I see him, Marcus said. Top of the ridge, 300 meters. That is Hassan. Confirm, Maya said. That is the target. I am taking the shot. Negative, Chen's voice cut in. Wait for air support. Do not compromise your position. Maya ignored her, opened her door, moved to a firing position using the Humvee as cover. Acquired Hassan in her scope, controlled her breathing, found the pause between heartbeats. And then everything went wrong. The prisoner transport Humvee exploded. Just erupted in a fireball of shaped charges and burning fuel. Morrison and his guards vaporized instantly. The shockwave knocked Maya sideways. Secondary explosions rippled through the convoy. IEDs positioned under the road, hidden, waiting. Chen had been wrong. This was not just an ambush. This was an annihilation. Maya hit the ground hard, ears ringing, vision blurred. Saw Marcus crawling toward her through smoke and fire. Saw Rangers returning fire at multiple targets. Saw technical trucks advancing while heavy machine guns chewed through their defensive positions. And on the ridge, Khalid Hassan stood watching. Not running, not seeking cover, just watching, waiting to see the ghost of Ramadi die. Maya raised her rifle, ignored the chaos, ignored the bullets snapping past, ignored everything except the scope and the target in the shot that would end this. She found her breath pause, found her sight picture, squeezed the trigger to get the 4 years of rage and guilt and grief behind it. The rifle kicked, the round flew true, and Khalid Hassan dropped. But even as he fell, Maya saw him smile, saw him raise a hand in a gesture that was not defeat, was permission, signal, more explosions, bigger. The ridge itself erupting as prepared demolitions collapsed the road behind them, cutting off retreat, trapping them in the kill zone. Chen had been right. Hassan had taken the bait, but he had known it was bait, had prepared his own trap within their trap, had sacrificed 30 fighters just to get Maya and Chen in one place. And now they were caught, surrounded, outnumbered, while Hassan bled out on a ridge knowing he had won even in death. This was not over. This was just beginning. The world existed in fragments, sound without meaning, light without context, pain without location. Maya Reeves floated in the space between consciousness and oblivion, where the body shut down non-essential functions to preserve what remained of life. She became aware of screaming first. Multiple voices, American accents shouting orders and coordinates in desperate requests for air support. Then came the smell, burning diesel, cordite, something organic and terrible that her brain refused to identify. Then touch, hands grabbing her, dragging her, someone yelling her name through the ringing in her ears. Maya opened her eyes and immediately wished she had not. The convoy was destroyed, all three Humvees burning or blown apart, bodies scattered across the kill zone in positions that told stories of desperate final moments. The prisoner transport vehicle was simply gone, erased by the IED that had vaporized Morrison and his guards. The road itself had collapsed where Hassan's demolitions had cut off their retreat, leaving a crater 20 feet across. And everywhere, gunfire, sustained, coordinated, professional fighters executing an ambush they had prepared with surgical precision. Marcus Webb crouched over her, his face streaked with blood and smoke residue, shouting words she could not quite hear through the ringing. He was dragging her toward cover, toward the overturned lead Humvee that offered the only protection in the exposed kill zone. Maya tried to help, tried to move her legs, and discovered her left leg was not responding correctly. Not broken, not bleeding, just shocked into dysfunction by the blast wave that had thrown her 15 feet. Marcus got her behind the Humvee, pressed his rifle into her hands, shouted something about staying down and returning fire. Then he was gone, moving back into the chaos to help other survivors. Maya conducted a tactical assessment with the part of her brain still functioning properly. 6 Rangers from their security element were still combat effective. Chen was wounded but mobile, coordinating defensive fire from behind the trail vehicle. 4 more personnel were down, status unknown. Against them, at least 30 insurgent fighters in prepared positions with fields of fire that turned the kill zone into a shooting gallery. The math was brutal. They were surrounded, outgunned, pinned down, without air support or quick reaction force. They had maybe 20 minutes before the insurgents maneuvered close enough for final assault. Then it would be execution time. The convoy massacre Hassan had wanted from the beginning. Except Hassan was dead. Maya had shot him, watched him fall, watched him smile as he dropped because even in death, he had won. Had gotten Maya into the trap. Had forced her to kill him, knowing his death meant nothing because the trap would close anyway. A bullet cracked past her head, close enough to feel the pressure wave. Maya returned fire on instinct, acquired the target through muscle memory, double-tapped center mass. The insurgent fell. She shifted aim, found another fighter trying to flank their position, engaged. 2 rounds, down. Her rifle clicked, empty. Reload, fluid, automatic. The sequence her hands knew better than her own name. Marcus appeared beside her again, breathing hard, blood running from a cut above his eye. His voice cut through the diminishing ringing in her ears. Chen is calling for QRF and air support, but weather is degrading. Clouds moving in. Might not get close air support for 30 minutes, maybe longer. We do not have 30 minutes, Maya said. She pointed at the ridge where insurgents were setting up a heavy machine gun. Once that gun goes active, we are finished. It will chew through our cover in seconds. I know. Marcus checked his ammunition. 3 magazines left. You? Same. Not enough for a sustained firefight. Maya scanned the battlefield, looking for options that did not exist. We need to break contact, get to defensible terrain. But the road is cut off and we are surrounded. Then we make them think we are broken, Marcus said. Feint retreat, draw them in, hit them when they commit. With 6 effective shooters against 30-plus fighters in prepared positions? Maya shook her head. That is suicide. Staying here is guaranteed death. At least my way, we take some of them with us. Marcus grabbed her shoulder. Trust me, like the old days, like Force Recon. Maya looked at him, saw the determination there. The refusal to quit, even when quitting was the only logical choice. The same stubborn courage that had made him a legend in their unit. The same quality that had made her love him. What do you need me to do? Marcus outlined it quickly. They would stage a fighting withdrawal toward the collapsed road section, make it look panicked, disorganized. The insurgents would see wounded Americans retreating and would pursue to finish them. When the enemy committed, Maya and 2 Rangers would spring the ambush from a concealed position, hitting the pursuers from the flank while Marcus and the others reversed and engaged from the front. Classic L-shaped ambush. Textbook infantry tactics. It was insane. It required perfect timing and luck, and the enemy being stupid enough to fall for it. But insane was better than certain death. Chen approved the plan because she had no better options. The Rangers executed because that was what Rangers did. Followed orders, adapted, overcame, even when the odds were impossible. They staged the withdrawal, made it look convincing, wounded personnel being dragged, equipment abandoned, defensive fire sporadic and poorly aimed, the performance of a broken unit collapsing under pressure. The insurgents took the bait, began advancing, cautious at first, then more aggressive as the Americans seemed to falter. 20 fighters moving down from their positions, closing for the kill, exactly what Marcus had predicted. Maya waited in her concealed position behind a burned-out vehicle chassis, controlled her breathing, counted enemies, waited for Marcus to spring the trap. The insurgents were 40 meters away, 30, 20, close enough to see faces, close enough to identify individuals. And then she saw him, Khalid Hassan, alive, walking among the advancing fighters with a blood-soaked bandage wrapped around his chest, moving stiffly, clearly wounded, but mobile, functional, very much not dead. Maya's shot had hit him. Center mass should have been fatal, but Hassan wore body armor under his traditional clothing. The round had probably broken ribs, caused massive blunt trauma, knocked him down, but not killed him, not even close. He saw her at the same moment she saw him. Their eyes met across 20 meters. Recognition flashed in his expression. Then something else. Satisfaction. He had wanted this. Wanted to see her face when she realized the trap was deeper than she knew. Wanted her to understand she had never been hunting him. He had always been hunting her. Hassan raised his hand. Not a weapon, just a gesture, a signal. The heavy machine gun on the ridge opened fire. But not at the Americans. At the insurgent fighters advancing through the kill zone. 30 caliber rounds tore through them from behind, cutting down Hassan's own men with brutal efficiency. Screams, confusion, bodies falling. Maya understood in a moment of terrible clarity. Hassan had sacrificed his fighters, used them as bait to draw out the American Quick Reaction Force and air support. He wanted the U.S. military to commit resources, to reveal capabilities, to provide the spectacle he needed. Because this was never about killing Maya. This was about using her death as propaganda, as proof that American special operations were vulnerable, as recruitment material for the next generation of fighters who would see Hassan martyr himself killing the ghost of Ramadi. Marcus triggered their ambush. Rangers opened fire on the surviving insurgents from the flank. The L-shaped trap closed, but it was closing on corpses and dying men while Hassan backed away, protected by a handful of loyalists who formed a screen. Maya broke from cover, charged toward Hassan with her rifle up. This ended now. She would put him down permanently. Would not trust body armor or luck or anything except multiple rounds through the skull. Hassan's bodyguards engaged. Maya shot the first one without breaking stride. Double tap, down. Second one turned to tracker. She was faster. 2 rounds, he fell. Third one got a shot off that tugged at her sleeve. Close. Too close. She put 3 rounds into him and kept moving. Hassan was running now despite his injuries, heading for a vehicle hidden behind the ridge. Escape route. Always have an escape route. Force recon doctrine. He had learned from Americans, had studied their tactics, had become what he fought. Maya pursued. Her wounded leg protested but functioned. Adrenaline was a powerful drug. She closed the distance. 50 meters, 40. Hassan reached the vehicle, turned, raised a pistol. They fired simultaneously. Maya felt the impact in her left shoulder. Shock. Pain. The specific agony of a bullet punching through flesh. But her rounds hit Hassan in the face. Not center mass this time. Headshots. Deliberate. Certain. Khalid Hassan's head snapped back. He fell into the vehicle. Did not get up. Did not move. Dead. Finally. Completely. Verified. Maya collapsed. The adrenaline was fading. The shoulder wound was serious. Bleeding heavily, she tried to apply pressure with her right hand, but the angle was wrong. The world started going gray at the edges. Marcus appeared, seemed to materialize out of the smoke and chaos like a guardian angel covered in blood and cordite. He dropped beside her, immediately assessing the wound, applying a pressure bandage with the practiced efficiency of someone who had treated gunshot wounds in combat before. "You shot him," Marcus said. "Confirmed kill this time. I saw his face. He is done. Good, Maya managed. About time something went right. The sound of helicopters cut through the battlefield noise. Apache gunships arriving despite the weather. The distinctive sound of 30mm chain guns engaging targets. The insurgent heavy machine gun position exploded under a Hellfire missile. Secondary explosions rippled across the ridge as ammunition cooked off. The quick reaction force was inbound. Blackhawks dropping Rangers who immediately began securing the area with overwhelming force. The ambush that had seemed unwinnable was now a mop-up operation. Hassan's fighters were dead or fleeing. The threat was neutralized. But Maya was fading. The blood loss was catching up. Marcus was talking to her, keeping her conscious, telling her to stay with him. But his voice sounded distant, underwater, like he was calling from the bottom of a well. She tried to respond, tried to tell him she was fine, that she had made the shot, that it was over. But the words would not form. The world was going dark despite the afternoon sun, despite Marcus shaking her, despite the combat medic who appeared and started working on her shoulder with professional urgency. The last thing Maya heard before unconsciousness took her was Marcus saying her name. Not Reeves, not Corporal, not the ghost, just Maya. Her actual name spoken with desperate intensity. Then darkness. Maya woke in a field hospital, the medical bay at Bagram Airfield based on the sounds and smells. How much time had passed was unclear. Hours, days. Her body felt disconnected, floating. Probably morphine or something stronger for the pain. She tried to sit up, discovered her left arm was immobilized, shoulder heavily bandaged. IV lines running into her right arm, monitors beeping with reassuring rhythm, alive, wounded but alive. A nurse noticed her stirring, came over with professional efficiency. Welcome back, Corporal Reeves. You have been out for 18 hours. Took a 9mm round through your left shoulder, damaged the rotator cuff, and nicked the subclavian artery. You nearly bled out. Took 2 units of blood and emergency surgery to stabilize you. Did we get him? Maya asked. Her voice was rough. Dry. Hassan, did we confirm the kill? The nurse hesitated. That is above my pay grade. Your commanding officer is waiting to brief you when you are ready. She adjusted the IV drip. But yes, I heard the target was eliminated. Mission accomplished. Maya closed her eyes, felt relief wash over her. Hassan was dead. The threat was ended. She could stop running, could stop looking over her shoulder, could finally begin to process everything without the sword of Damocles hanging over her. The door opened. Captain Cole entered, followed by Sarah Chen. Both looked exhausted. Chen moved with a pronounced limp, favoring her wounded side. Cole had fresh bandages on his left hand. Everyone had paid a price for the Tangi Valley. Corporal Reeves, Cole said formally. Good to see you conscious. How are you feeling? Like I got shot, Maya replied. But alive. How bad were our casualties? 4 KIA, Cole said quietly. Morrison and his 3 guards in the initial IED. 7 wounded, including you and Chen. Could have been much worse. The QRF arrived in time to prevent a total massacre. And Hassan? Confirmed dead. You put 3 rounds through his skull at close range. There was no ambiguity this time. Chen pulled out a tablet showing photographs. Khalid Hassan's body, facial recognition confirmation, biometric verification. He is done. What about his network, the people he worked with? Being rolled up as we speak, Chen said. Pakistani security forces are conducting raids based on intelligence we gathered. Hassan's lieutenants are being arrested or eliminated. His sister Yasmina is in custody. The organization is decapitated. So we won, Maya said. It sounded hollow even to her own ears. We accomplished the mission objective, Chen corrected. Whether that constitutes winning is a different question. She sat down with visible discomfort. You should know that your actions during the ambush are being reviewed for commendation. You killed Hassan despite being wounded, prevented his escape, ended a threat that has killed dozens of Americans and hundreds of local nationals. I was doing my job. Your job was to be technical support. Instead, you conducted a solo assault against a high-value target while wounded and under fire. That goes significantly beyond technical support. Maya looked at her, really looked. Saw the calculation in Chen's eyes, the assessment, the recruitment pitch coming. I know what you are going to say, Maya interrupted, that I am good at this, that SAD needs people like me, that I should consider making it permanent instead of going back to contractor work. Actually, Chen said, I was going to say you should consider getting out. Completely, while you still can. Maya blinked. That was not what she expected. You have severe PTSD, Chen continued. Moral injury, trauma that is not being properly addressed. You use missions as avoidance. Use violence as therapy. That works for a while, but eventually it breaks you. She gestured at the hospital bed. This is what breaking looks like. Getting shot because you charged a target alone instead of waiting for support. Taking unnecessary risks because part of you does not care if you survive. That is not true. Is it not? Chen leaned forward. You have been running for 4 years. Running from Ramadi, running from yourself, running from the guilt. Using new missions to avoid processing old trauma. How many more missions until you take a risk you do not survive? How many more Hassans until one of them is faster or luckier? I do not know. Then figure it out. Take time, real time. Get actual help instead of the bare minimum therapy to clear psychiatric screening. Deal with the children you killed in Ramadi. Deal with the fact that you are not a monster even though you have done monstrous things. Chen stood up. CIA will give you full medical discharge with benefits if you want it. Or you can stay in SAD and keep running until something catches you. Your choice. She left. Just walked out, leaving Maya alone with Cole, who looked uncomfortable with the entire conversation. For what it is worth, Cole said, I agree with her. You are an exceptional operator, but you are also wounded in ways that bullets cannot fix. Take the time. Get help. The war will still be here if you decide to come back. What if I do not want to come back? What if I want to be done? Then be done. No shame in it. You have given enough. Have I? Maya asked. Because it does not feel like enough. Feels like I owe a debt I can never repay. 3 children dead because of me. How much service balances that scale? Nothing balances it, Cole said quietly. That is what moral injury is. Actions that cannot be undone. Harm that cannot be repaired. You carry it forever. Question is whether you let it destroy you or whether you find a way to live with it. How? I do not know. I am a line officer, not a therapist. But I know people who survived worse. People who made peace with things they can never change. They all had help. Therapy, support, time. None of them did it alone. Marcus Webb wants to help, Maya said. Wants to carry the weight with me. Then let him. Stop protecting him from your damage and let him be your partner in healing the way he was your partner in combat. Cole moved toward the door. Get some rest. We will talk about next steps when you are recovered. He left. Maya was alone with her thoughts and the beeping monitors and the morphine drip that made everything feel distant and manageable. She thought about Chen's words, about running, about using missions to avoid processing trauma, about taking risks because part of her did not value her own survival. All of it was true. All of it was accurate assessment by someone who understood exactly what Maya was doing, because Chen probably did the same thing. Used work to avoid feeling. Used the mission to avoid the mirror. But Hassan was dead now. The immediate threat was gone. There was no more running from, only running towards something. The question was what? Maya spent 3 days in the hospital. Physical therapy to restore shoulder mobility. Psychiatric evaluation to clear her for duty or recommend medical separation. Paperwork. Debriefings. The bureaucratic machinery of the military-industrial complex processing another wounded operator. Marcus visited daily. They did not talk about the future, did not discuss what came next, just sat together. 2 people who had been through hell and somehow survived, building the foundation for whatever came after. On the 4th day, Maya received discharge orders, medical leave pending full recovery, 30 days minimum. Return to duty status to be determined based on psychiatric evaluation and physical therapy progress. She was being sent home, to the United States, to civilian life, to normalcy. It terrified her more than combat ever had. Chen came to say goodbye. The CIA officer looked different, softer somehow. The mission mask had cracked enough to show the human underneath. I meant what I said, Chen told her. Get help, real help, stop running. You earned the right to heal. What about you, Maya asked. Are you getting help? Eventually, when the current operation concludes, when the mission allows. Chen smiled without humor. We all tell ourselves that, when the mission allows, as if the mission ever allows, as if there is ever a good time to stop and deal with what we have done. Then stop with me. Take your own advice. Maybe I will. Chen offered her hand. Good luck, Maya. I hope you find what you are looking for. They shook, 2 warriors acknowledging mutual respect and mutual damage. Then Chen left to go back to whatever shadow she operated in. Marcus helped Maya pack. Yeah, but neither of them had much. Soldiers traveled light, accumulated nothing because accumulation required permanence, and their lives had no permanence. Where do you want to go? Marcus asked. You have 30 days leave, can go anywhere. Home, Maya said. Colorado, mountains, somewhere quiet where I can think. I will go with you if you want company. I want company, want a partner, want someone who understands. She looked at him, want you. Then you have me, for as long as you need, for as long as you want. They flew commercial out of Bagram, transferred through Dubai, landed in Denver 36 hours after leaving Afghanistan. The transition from war zone to homeland was jarring, too fast, too abrupt, like stepping through a membrane between worlds. Maya rented a cabin in the Rockies, small, isolated, close enough to a VA hospital for follow-up appointments, but far enough from civilization to breathe. Marcus came with her. They lived together without labels, without pressure, just two people occupying the same space and trying to remember how to be human. The nightmares came every night. Ramadi, the Tangi Valley, Hassan's face as he died, the children, Morrison burning, an endless parade of trauma that sleep could not escape. But Marcus was there when she woke screaming, was there when the panic attacks hit, was there when the guilt became crushing weight. He did not try to fix her, did not offer empty platitudes, just sat with her in the darkness and shared the weight. And slowly, gradually, Maya began to believe that maybe healing was possible. Maybe redemption was not something earned through more missions, but something accepted through grace. Maybe forgiving herself meant letting other people forgive her first. On day 27 of her medical leave, Maya received a letter. Official CIA, stationary, job offer, Special Activities Division, full-time position, significant salary, important work. She burned it without reading past the first paragraph. On day 28, she called Dr. Patterson at the VA, made an appointment, committed to actual therapy, to processing instead of running, to doing the work. On day 29, Marcus asked her to stay in Colorado, to build a life, to try being something other than warriors. On day 30, Maya said yes. The war was not over, would probably never be over, but her part in it could end. She could choose to stop, could choose to heal, could choose to live instead of just survive. Khalid Hassan was dead. The ghost of Ramadi could finally rest, and Maya Reeves could finally begin to live. 6 months after the Tangi Valley, Maya Reeves stood in a different kind of battlefield. No mountains, no gunfire, no blood on the concrete, just the sterile corridors of Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, where warriors came to heal from wounds both visible and invisible. She walked the hallway with visitor credentials hanging around her neck, carrying flowers she had bought from the hospital gift shop, because that was what normal people did when visiting the injured. Maya was not sure she qualified as normal anymore, was not sure she ever had, but she was trying. That had to count for something. Room 317, private room, the kind reserved for patients with complicated medical needs or classified service records that required controlled access. Maya knocked once, heard a voice from inside telling her to enter. She pushed open the door. Marcus Webb sat in a wheelchair by the window, his left leg elevated, wrapped in compression bandages and surgical dressings. 3 months of physical therapy had brought him from barely conscious to mostly functional. The doctor said he would walk again. Eventually, with a permanent limp and chronic pain, but mobile, alive, which was more than anyone had expected when the medevac helicopter pulled him out of the Tangi Valley with a femoral artery wound that should have killed him in minutes. He looked up when Maya entered, smiled. The expression was tired, worn thin by pain and medication and the grinding rehabilitation work that filled his days. But it was genuine. You brought flowers, he said. I did not know the ghost did flowers. The ghost is trying new things, Maya replied. Set the bouquet on the table beside his bed. How are you feeling? Like I got shot, which I did. Like I spent 2 months in a medically induced coma, which I did. Like my entire left leg is held together with titanium and surgical wire, which it is. He gestured at the chair across from him. But I am alive. We are both alive. So on balance, not terrible. Maya sat, studied him. The weight loss. The new scars visible where his hospital gown exposed skin. The way he held himself like someone who had learned that movement meant pain, but staying still meant atrophy. Marcus had paid a price for the Tangi Valley. They all had. The flowers are nice, he said after a moment. Appreciated but unnecessary. You do not owe me anything, Maya. I owe you my life. You threw yourself between me and an RPG round when the ambush went full chaos. Took shrapnel meant for me. Nearly bled out before the Rangers could establish a perimeter and call for medevac. I was doing my job, protecting my partner. Your partner who got you shot, Maya said quietly. Your partner whose brilliant idea it was to trust CIA and walk into Hassan's trap. Hassan's trap that killed Hassan, Marcus pointed out. You put a round through his chest at 300 meters while under fire from multiple directions. Confirmed kill, target eliminated, mission accomplished by any reasonable metric. Mission accomplished, Maya repeated. The words tasted like ash. Morrison dead, 3 Rangers dead, Chen wounded. You crippled. And Hassan's network still operating 6 months later because killing the leader did not kill the organization. She shook her head. Some victory. Better than the alternative, Marcus said. Better than Hassan still being out there hunting you, still sending teams, still escalating. You ended that threat. Ended him. Can finally stop running. Can I? Maya asked. Because it does not feel finished. Feels like I just added another name to the list of people dead because of choices I made. Hassan wanted me to kill him. Wanted to die knowing he had hurt me one last time. And I gave him exactly what he wanted. Marcus wheeled his chair closer, reached out and took her hand. His grip was weak, diminished by months of muscle atrophy, but steady, present. You are doing it again, he said, taking responsibility for things outside your control. Hassan set up his own death, used it as a weapon. You were just the instrument he chose, just like you were the instrument CIA chose when they sent you into Ramadi, just like you were the instrument Morrison chose when he leaked information. You need to stop carrying every sin everyone commits using you. How? Maya asked. How do I stop when the nightmares won't stop? When I close my eyes and see the children from Ramadi and Morrison burning in that Humvee and Hassan smiling as he died? How do I stop being responsible? You start by accepting that you are human, that you make mistakes, that you have been used and manipulated and traumatized, but you are still here, still breathing, still trying to do better. Marcus squeezed her hand. You start by forgiving yourself the way you forgave Morrison, the way you would forgive me if our positions were reversed. I do not know how to do that. Then learn. Get help. See the therapist VA assigned you. Take the medication. Do the work. Stop trying to atone for Ramadi by destroying yourself piece by piece. He met her eyes. The ghost of Ramadi does not have to be who you are forever. You get to decide what comes next. Maya wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe there was a version of her future that did not involve running or hiding or waiting for the next mission to give her life temporary meaning. Wanted to believe she could be more than a weapon waiting to be aimed. I saw Dr. Patterson yesterday, she said quietly. The VA therapist. 3rd session. She is pushing me to process the trauma instead of compartmentalizing it. Says I have complex PTSD with moral injury components. Says the fact that I keep seeking combat situations is avoidance behavior. Running toward danger instead of running away but still running. What do you think? I think she is right. And I hate that she is right. Because if she is right, then I have wasted 4 years hiding when I should have been healing. Maya pulled her hand back, wrapped her arms around herself. I took the CIA job, Marcus. Special Activities Division. Chen offered and I accepted. Start in 2 weeks. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried no judgment, just sadness. More running, more purpose, Maya corrected. More chance to do something useful with the skills I have. Chen says there are operations that need people like me. Operations that save lives. Operations that also take lives, that require you to do the thing you hate most about yourself. That will give you more nightmares and more guilt and more reasons to need therapy you will not actually engage with. He shook his head. Maya, this is not healing. This is suicide by increments. What else am I supposed to do? Go back to fixing computers? Pretend to be normal while Hassan's network is still operating and people are still dying? You are supposed to stop measuring your worth by body count, Marcus said. Stop defining yourself as a weapon. Figure out who Maya Reeves is when she is not in a combat zone killing people or helping people kill people. I do not know who that person is. Then find out. Take time, real time, not 2 weeks between missions. Take a year, get help, process the trauma, figure out what you actually want instead of what the Marine Corps or CIA or your guilt tells you to want. Maya stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the hospital grounds where other wounded warriors were doing physical therapy, learning to walk on prosthetics, adjusting to new realities where their bodies no longer did what their minds commanded. CIA is sending me to Pakistan, she said. Karachi specifically, they located Dr. Chen's network there. The people who recruited Morrison, the people still running Hassan's operations. They want someone who can infiltrate, who has the technical skills to hack their systems and the combat skills to survive if it goes wrong. And you volunteered. I was voluntold. But yes, I accepted. Even though it means walking back into the same world that broke you. Even though it means more violence and more death and more things to process in therapy you will not actually attend. I will attend, Maya said. I promised Dr. Patterson. And I am promising you, I will do the work. We'll take the medication. We'll actually try to heal instead of just survive. She turned to face him. But I cannot walk away from this mission. Cannot let Hassan's people keep operating just because I am uncomfortable with who I am in combat. People are depending on me. People are always depending on you, Marcus said quietly. That is the excuse you use to avoid depending on yourself, to avoid the hard work of healing. There will always be another mission, another Hassan, another reason to be the ghost instead of Maya. Then help me be both, Maya said. Help me figure out how to do the mission and do the healing. How to be the operator when I need to be and the person when I can be. You said you wanted to carry the weight with me. So carry it. Be there when I get back. Be the reason I come back. Marcus looked at her for a long time. Warrior to warrior, broken person to broken person. Two people who had walked through hell together and survived with scars that would never fully heal. I will be here, he said finally. When you get back, however long it takes, I will be here, working on my own healing, getting my leg functional, processing my own trauma from watching you almost die and not being able to stop it. And when you walk through that door again, we will figure out the rest together. Together, Maya repeated. The word felt foreign, uncomfortable. She had been alone for so long that partnership felt like a luxury she did not deserve. But maybe that was the point. Maybe healing meant accepting things she did not deserve until she could believe she deserved them. She crossed back to Marcus, knelt down so they were eye level, took his hands in hers. I love you, she said. Have loved you since we were partners. Kept loving you through 4 years of running. We'll keep loving you through however long it takes to become someone who can accept being loved back. Then go do your mission, Marcus said. Do what you need to do, but come back, not as the ghost, as Maya, as the woman who fixes things, who helps people, who is more than the sum of her worst moments. I will try. Trying is enough. They sat together for another hour, talking, not talking, just being present. Then visiting hours ended and Maya had to leave. She kissed him once, gentle, a promise rather than goodbye, and walked out of the hospital into the Maryland afternoon. 2 weeks later, Maya stepped off a plane in Karachi under a cover identity that identified her as a logistics analyst for an international shipping company. The identity was solid, backstopped, would survive casual scrutiny and most background checks. Sarah Chen had built it personally, weaving truth and fiction together until the seams were invisible. Chen met her at a safe house in the industrial district. The CIA officer looked different than she had at FOB Sentinel. Harder. The wound she had taken in the Tangji Valley had healed, but left her moving with a slight favoring of her right side. Shrapnel damage to the ribs. Painful but operational. Welcome to Karachi, Chen said. Your target is a logistics network that moves everything from weapons to drugs to people across 5 countries. Hassan built it. His lieutenants are running it. We want you to penetrate their computer systems, map their operations, and identify leadership for targeting. And if I cannot do it remotely, if I have to go inside, then you go inside. Use your technical cover. Get access to their servers. Plant surveillance malware. Get out clean. Chen handed her a phone. This has your contact protocols. You report every 72 hours. Miss a check-in and we assume you are compromised. What happens if I am compromised? We disavow. You are a contractor who went rogue. No official connection to United States government. You disappear into whatever hole they put you in, and we move on to the next asset. Comforting, Maya said. This is Special Activities Division. We do not do comfort. We do results. Chen's expression was flat, clinical. You knew what you were signing up for. Maya took the phone, studied it, thought about Marcus in his hospital bed, about the promise she had made, about coming back as Maya instead of the ghost. I need one thing from you, she said. Name it. If I do not check in, if I get compromised or killed or captured, you make sure Marcus Webb knows I tried, that I was working on healing, that I did not just run away again. Chen considered this, then nodded once, agreed, now get to work. The next 3 months were a different kind of warfare. No firefights, no explosions, just patient intelligence work. Maya infiltrated the shipping company that fronted for Hassan's network, used her technical skills to gain access to their systems, mapped their operations one byte at a time while maintaining her cover as a harmless analyst who fixed computer problems and filed shipping manifests. It was the role she had played at FOB Sentinel, the invisible contractor, but this time she knew she was playing a role. This time, the invisibility was a weapon she wielded with precision rather than a prison she hid inside. She identified 3 key players: Hassan's brother-in-law who ran the weapons trafficking, a former Taliban commander handling drug shipments, and a woman named Yasmina Hassan, Khalid's younger sister. The true power behind the network. Yasmina was 34, Cambridge educated, spoke 5 languages, ran the organization with ruthless efficiency that would have made her brother proud. And according to the intelligence Maya gathered, Yasmina knew exactly who had killed Khalid, had known Maya was CIA from the beginning, was waiting for her to make a move. The trap within the trap within the trap. Hassan family doctrine. Never take the obvious path. Never trust the simple answer. Always prepare for betrayal. Maya realized she was being played 3 days before she planned to exfiltrate, realized the network she thought she had penetrated had actually let her in, had fed her information they wanted CIA to have, had used her the same way she thought she was using them. She called Chen. Emergency protocol. Compromised. Need extraction. Chen's response was 8 words. Negative. Mission is not complete. Finish the job. Maya stared at the phone, understanding what Chen was really saying. The mission was never about mapping the network. It was about forcing Yasmina Hassan to reveal herself, to commit resources to capturing or killing Maya, to expose vulnerabilities CIA could exploit. Maya was bait again, just like at Phoebe Sentinel, just like the Tangi Valley. Always bait, always the weapons someone else aimed. She could run, could disappear into Karachi's 20 million people and vanish, or she could finish the mission, get the intelligence, survive long enough for Chen to make the play. She thought about Marcus, about the promise, about coming back as Maya instead of the ghost. Then she thought about all the people Hassan's network had killed, all the weapons they moved, all the suffering they facilitated, the body count that would keep growing if she walked away. The math Chen had described months ago, 4 deaths to prevent hundreds. Her safety measured against mission success. Maya made her choice, went deeper instead of pulling back, used her access to plant malware that would give CIA complete visibility into Hassan network communications, and waited for Yasmina to make her move. The move came at midnight, 6 armed men breaking into Maya's apartment. Professional, coordinated, not trying to kill her, trying to take her alive. Maya was ready, had been ready since she realized the trap. She went through the window before they cleared the door, rappelled down the side of the building on climbing ropes she had staged days earlier, hit the street running. They pursued. 4 vehicles, maybe 15 shooters, chased through Karachi streets at speeds that turned traffic into an obstacle course. Maya drove like someone who had done tactical driving courses, because she had. Force Recon included vehicle operations, evasive maneuvers, surviving ambushes. She led them exactly where Chen wanted them, into the industrial port district where CIA had assets positioned, where Pakistani security forces friendly to American interests were waiting. The trap closed. Hassan vehicles boxed in, fighters captured or killed. And Yasmina Hassan herself pulled from the lead vehicle, alive, intact, ready for interrogation and prosecution and all the intelligence she could provide about networks spanning 5 countries. Mission accomplished, for real this time. Maya met Chen at the safe house after the dust settled. The CIA officer looked satisfied, professional, like someone who had executed a complex operation successfully and achieved all objectives. You did well, Chen said, better than expected. We have Yasmina, have her network mapped, have enough intelligence to roll up operations across the region. This is a significant win. I was bait again, Maya said. You used me the same way you used Morrison. Fed me information you wanted them to see. Let them think they had penetrated my operation when really you were penetrating theirs. Yes, Chen said simply. That is how intelligence work operates. We use assets, manipulate information, create situations where our enemies make mistakes. You were the asset, did your job, should be proud. I am tired, Maya said. Tired of being used. Tired of being the weapon someone else points. Tired of the ghost. Then be something else. Chen handed her a folder. This is your next assignment if you want it. Counterterrorism operation in Somalia. High-value target with connections to... I am done, Maya interrupted. Done with SAD. Done with being an operator. I am going home. Chen studied her. You will not last 6 months in civilian life. You are addicted to the action, to the purpose, to being someone who matters. Maybe, Maya said. Or maybe I will learn to matter in different ways. Either way, I am finished. She stood up. Submit my resignation. I am out. You are making a mistake. I have made plenty of those. One more will not kill me. Maya walked out, flew back to the United States, processed her separation from CIA, collected her final paycheck and security clearance termination paperwork, became a civilian for real this time. And then she went to Walter Reed, room 317, where Marcus Webb was doing physical therapy. Walking on his rebuilt leg with a cane for support, still in pain, still healing, but upright, mobile, alive. He saw her enter, stopped mid-exercise. The therapist looked between them and quietly excused herself. You came back, Marcus said. I came back, Maya confirmed. Not as the ghost, as Maya, as someone who wants to try being normal, who wants to figure out what comes after the war. How did it go? The mission? Successful, terrible, necessary, finished. She crossed to him, took his free hand. I am done running, Marcus. Done hiding. Done being a weapon. I am ready to try being a person, if you will help me figure out how. Marcus smiled, set down his cane, put both arms around her despite the pain it caused his healing body. I will help, he said. We will help each other. Two broken people trying to be whole. They stood there together, two warriors learning to be human again. Learning that strength sometimes meant accepting weakness. That healing was harder than fighting. That love required more courage than combat. 6 months later, Maya Reeves opened a small computer security consulting firm in Colorado. Legitimate work, helping businesses protect their data. No classified operations, no violence, no body count. Marcus worked with her when his physical therapy schedule allowed. Provided security consulting. Taught defensive tactics to corporate clients. Built a life that did not require being deployed to places where people shot at you. They were not healed. Probably would never be fully healed. The nightmare still came. The guilt still surfaced. The scars, both visible and invisible, still ached. But they were trying. Working with therapists, taking medication, attending support groups, doing the unglamorous, difficult work of processing trauma instead of running from it. And slowly, gradually, Maya started to believe she might be more than the sum of her worst moments. Might be someone who had made terrible mistakes and could still deserve forgiveness. Could still deserve love. Could still build something good from the wreckage of who she had been. 1 year after leaving CIA, she received a letter. No return address, postmarked from Pakistan. Inside was a single photograph. Khalid Hassan's grave, flowers placed on the stone, and a handwritten note. The ghost earned her rest. Yasmina is in prison. The network is broken. You won. Let the dead stay dead. It was signed by Sarah Chen. Maya burned the letter, scattered the ashes. Let the past stay in the past where it belonged. That night, Marcus found her in their apartment, standing at the window, looking out at the Colorado mountains. He came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, rested his chin on her shoulder. You okay? He asked. I am getting there, Maya said. For the first time, the words felt true. Not a lie, not deflection, actual progress towards something resembling okay. Good, Marcus said, because I bought something today. Need your opinion. He handed her a small box. Velvet, the kind that held jewelry. Maya opened it and found a ring. Simple, elegant, practical in the way warriors appreciated practicality. I know we are both still healing, Marcus said. I know we have a long way to go, but I also know I want to walk that road with you. As partners, the way we always were, the way we were meant to be. He turned her to face him. Maya Elizabeth Reeves, will you marry me? Maya looked at the ring, looked at Marcus, looked at the life they were building together from the pieces of who they used to be. Yes, she said. Yes to all of it. To healing together, to building something that is not about violence or missions or being weapons. To being human again, to being partners. They kissed, gentle, full of promise, full of hope that maybe, just maybe, people who had walked through hell could find their way back to something resembling peace. The ghost of Ramadi was dead, buried with Khalid Hassan and all the others who had died in wars that seemed to have no ending. But Maya Reeves was alive, learning to thrive, learning that redemption was not a destination, but a daily choice. Learning that the strongest thing a warrior could do was lay down their weapons and learn to live without them. She would never forget the children she killed, would carry that weight forever. But she was learning to carry it without being crushed by it. Learning that being broken did not mean being worthless. That mistakes did not define you unless you let them. 2 years later, Maya stood in a different hospital. Not as a visitor this time, as a patient, holding a newborn daughter while Marcus sat beside her, looking exhausted and proud and terrified in the way new fathers always looked. The baby was perfect, tiny, fragile, a life that had nothing to do with combat or violence or the wars her parents had fought, a life that represented possibility, hope, a future that was not defined by past trauma. What should we name her? Marcus asked. Something that means hope, Maya said. Something that reminds us why we fought to be here, why we survived. She looked at her daughter and felt something shift inside her chest. Something that had been broken, starting to heal. Something that had been cold, beginning to warm. Hope, Marcus said. We will name her Hope. And they did. Because after everything, after all the violence and death and trauma and guilt, after running and hiding and fighting and nearly dying, after being weapons and ghosts and broken pieces of who they used to be, after all of it, hope was what remained. Hope was what they had earned. Hope was what they gave back to a world that had taken so much from them. Maya Reeves had been a warrior, had been a killer, had been the ghost of Ramadi who haunted battlefields and her own nightmares. But now she was something else, someone else, a mother, a wife, a woman who had walked through hell and made it back to tell the story. And that was enough. That was everything. The war was over. The ghost could finally rest. And Maya Reeves could finally walk free. What struck me most about Maya's story wasn't the firefights or tactical brilliance. It was that moment in the hospital when she finally admitted, I don't know how to stop being a weapon. How many of our veterans carry that same weight? The skills that kept them alive in war, becoming the very thing that haunts them in peace. I'd love to hear from you. Do you think someone can truly come back from that kind of moral injury? Or is Maya's ending, choosing love and healing over the mission, just wishful thinking? Drop your thoughts below. And if this story resonated with you, there are more untold missions waiting. Hit subscribe so you don't miss them. The Storyteller.